And again, someday, get accustomed to what looks like what. Oh, it says live. Look, there's the thing. Over there in the corner, it says Crawler Canyon is now live. I guess that means I'm live. It's alive. We are alive. I've been slacking a little bit. I slacked a little bit. I probably should have had this done well in advance, but you know, here we, as they say, are. So I see Texas, Michigan. Some of y'all I know are in far away places that do exist, where it's like almost nighttime already. Or no, it's nighttime already, right? Yeah, it's nighttime over there. Gares, yes, indeed. And in true Canyon fashion, we're just reusing the same we're reusing the same thumbnail. I had a motivation. I was like, you know what you should do? Because you actually, for once, you know what you're doing in the live. You can make a thumbnail for it. And then I was like, oh, I need to ask my kid if they know where their green screen is, so that I can tack a picture together. And they weren't home, so my brain was like, well, this works out perfect, because we didn't want to actually do any extra work anyway. Hey, RC family has updated and rejoined. Welcome back to the secret society, as it were. We are we're doing some things, and doing the thing, man. Whatever that thing is, as long as you're doing the thing, we're doing all right. Ohio, still, and just one person west of the Rocky Mountains. I understand it's noon, so you know those west of the Rocky Mountain people are like working stuff. I guess I don't know what they do. I don't know what those people do. Oh, so Erwin has been paying attention. I did indeed film the backwards tires. I think I filmed it last Sunday, right before I started work on the new obstacle. Canyon Customs, indeed. Well, I mean, this, if anything is a giveaway, it's RVB here. We are getting the thing done. Yeah, I was looking. So I keep pre-cut. Like, these are the outer wraps. I haven't done the outer wraps on any of these yet. I'm just kind of doing them one at a time now. And I do a bunch of pre-cuts, and they usually fall all over the bench. That's all I got left in pre-cuts. So I gotta cut a bunch more up. So we're gonna make a concerted effort. We're gonna do what we can. We're gonna do what we can. We're gonna do what we must, because we can, for science. We're gonna make a small effort to get at least one of the boys together. I'm seeing if I can reach over the camera without like hitting the. Nope, I can hit the microphone. So good old Amazon came through. The difference here, I mean, you want to talk about genius. They just like mirrored it, like his little shoulder things on one side, his little shoulder things on the other. Tomax and Zaymot, elements of my childhood. They are the series 44 and 45. There's like 300 and some re-released 6-inch G.I. Joes now. And I think I had mentioned it before. I want them all. I want every single one of them. But we will contain ourselves, because last night, is that thicker 30 PPI the same density? That is an excellent question. Now, how we would determine that. I mean, I guess we can do it this way. This is about the best we can do. Okay, so so this is fridge foam, and this is aquarium filter media, and it's just it's like 2.5 thicknesses of this. It feels very nearly the same. Like if there's a differential, it's very small. It's very small. And I've linked to this in descriptions before. Whoever linked me to this one, shout out. The only problem is, more fridge foam. It comes in a thing about this long, black bar, but about that wide. And you can indeed get 2 of the pieces lengthwise out of it, which are these. So you can get enough out of this to do it. So I think it's like $9. But yeah, that 30 PPI, because at no point do they ever mention, why would they? They never mention what the PPI of fridge foam is, because I don't think people are buying it for this. But sent in, these came in from Sweden or Norway, up in Scandinavia. This is definitely tighter in the mesh, but it's thinner and it's very soft. Very soft. And also, the one that I'm most anxious to use, but wasn't suitable for this application, it's the like 30 PPI on this side, but it's the finer stuff on the other. We've got dual density fridge foam. I don't know what I'm going to use it for, but you know what? We're going to use it for something. That's for future me to figure out. I'm going to knock a bunch of stuff down today. I don't know. I feel it. Did that battery finally go, or was it just sitting there?
I broke it in your toy. Universal on the draft shaft.
Oh, that's no problem. Yeah, it just popped apart. That's a Traxxas. We've got, I'm burying the lead once again. We've got folks out.
Thank you, sir.
Driving on the course right now. It's which I'll attribute to some of my slacking in the morning. What's a good foam for rear wheels on a Towberry egg? Ooh, I'm trying to do the
diff shimmies when you get a chance. Use the realign axles.
You start already?
Yeah.
Oh, damn it! I missed the welcome back.
I'm trying to translate Towberry egg, so they won't squat. I don't know what that is. I feel like I've been auto-corrected. Another day with proof that the person's it's not just like this is not Michigan. This place actually exists and people are here. So here we are as well. It looks like the 404 chat. I imagine it does. Tow rig. That makes more sense. So on that tow rig, are you running the regular, like what are they? Cougars? Are you running those big cross tires, or are you running something else? Because that will impact. You're gonna need something fairly firm in there. Particularly if you're using it for its intended purpose as a tow truck, which is going to put a lot of load on that rear axle. Very, very staticky. This is all very low tech. I talked with actual people from outside of my house last night. I do exist. If you think, therefore you are. Existence is pretty easy. Regular crawler tires on 1.9s. You could honestly, if you're like a 4.6, if you're like a 4.65 or 4.75, you could get away with, you could probably get away. I would start off just trying something like these when they're stock, with just the outer foam on it, just the regular Tim Tin. If you're running a 465, 475, I would start there and see how that goes. Isn't a 465, 475 very small on that giant tow truck? Oh, the Heisenberg compensator. I haven't been able to afford one of those, but I feel like I need one. Because sometimes I do question my own reality. But as they say, perception is reality. So as long as we're perceiving, good old Descartes, I think therefore I am. But there are people whom, and I will refer to them as people for the purposes of clarity, there are people out there in the world that are clearly existing because I see them, but I'm not 100% sure they're thinking. So they am without thinking. I don't know how that works. But then it's perception. Are they only real in my perception? That's possible. Yeah. Okay. I've also got to fix Lolo. My buddy was out driving Lolo and popped the front drive shaft apart by binding it up and overwhelmed the slipper and popped it apart. It's all fixable. It's toy car stuff. We can repair it that way. Let me tell you about a descent, same as all the Matrix inhabitants. That's absolutely true. If we're all believing the same lie, then that lie is our truth. I went into a descent into madness on Amazon, which lasted far longer than it should have and far longer than I would like to admit to, probably close to an hour. Because we've got the brothers here, we've got Tomax and Zaymont who will be fitting in to these vehicles, one alike the other. The purpose here being to build two completely identical vehicles, which I know is a very abnormal thing for most, but feels to me like a very Canyon thing. It feels like something that we would do here, because underneath this bench, right, if you were to go straight down, go about a foot over and straight down, you would find an answer to the question that you had not asked. But that question is, how many routers do you own? And the answer is a lot, because I don't want to change bits. Did you spot the comment question from RC Family? I did not. I think it got missed. Have we discussed whether there is a benefit to running high clearance links with the bend nearest the skid, and could it be from the comments? Oh, yes. Okay. I think I've tangentially addressed this in the past about what direction is best for high clearance links. And I do believe that I have vehicles that have them both ways. I think in general, we can look right here. I can pick him up. He's busted. I think in general, I run the short end at the axle, because as I think somebody pointed out, this is going to improve your breakover, because it's going to allow you to slide up here more. And then by the time an obstruction gets up to here, it's already on the tire. Whereas if you run them the other way, it will protect the drive shaft more, but it will allow obstacles and stuff to fall in right there, and then the tire can't reach anything. So this guy could actually get away with a little bit more kick on the back, but he drives so good that I don't want to futz with it. That's often a thing, not on a high angle skid. Oh yeah, double bend in the rear links would be ideal, not on a high angle skid. How many Black & Decker workmates? None. When I put the building together, I built lots of benches. It's benches everywhere. There's probably 250 square feet of benches. I do have a Rockwell jaw horse that I use more often than I probably should, because once again, laziness. I don't run a router inside the building. If I need to route, I will I will take the jaw horse outside and clamp the workpiece into it and just spread that sawdust out far and wide. Bouncing noise, congratulations. Eighth of 22nd. Okay, let's address that on two levels. 8th of 22nd is great. If you had a good time, then that's first place, man. We're playing with toy cars and we're having a good time, and I don't think we need to go past that. Now I want to buy some Black & Decker Workmates, though. I don't even have any sawhorses. I still do the old lean the 2x4 on your boot, and cut it with a saw in your hand. Also, I mean, where would I put it? Like, I don't even have a place to put the jaw horse. When you put something away, if you have to move something to put it away and move something to take it back out, you've clearly run out of space. How many 10mm spanners do you have? Brother? I have a little, do I have one over here? Okay, so this is a yellow bin, but imagine a blue bin that's about this size. I have one filled with 10mm sockets. In 10mm open-end wrenches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, there's 5 in that cabinet. So yeah, a lot. The jokes, the ever running and persistent jokes about 10mm wrenches are true. Because, man, do we use them for everything. Now that we're, semi-metric here. Last weekend, I took all of the spark plugs out of a Dodge Challenger using a 14mm socket, because I don't own 2 5/8 sockets. He was putting them in with a 5/8, and I was taking them out with a 14. 14 is, I'm not a mechanic, so 14 is a 5/8. It's not, but it kind of is. I mean, it fits. If I wouldn't tighten the spark plug down with that socket, but it's fine. 16 spark plugs in that stupid car. 16. And it's not a Bugatti. An Iridium lasers, $9 a plug.
Oh, the cheap ones.
Yeah, the cheap ones. $9 a plug, 16 plugs. When you buy a muscle car, you better know what you're getting into. What should a would-be Canyonellian fabricator start with to do the lathe things? Meaning, like in terms of buying a lathe or buying stuff for a lathe? Went to the Home Depot and almost crapped myself when I saw how much a wrench set is now. Yeah, it's bad. It's so bad. And here's the deal. They can't justify it. I have old cheap wrenches like Cobalts and what is even in this cabinet? I got some Craftsman in here. I got some Cobalts. I got some Huskies. We got a little bit of everything. They've been using the same molds to make those wrenches for like 40 years. But all of a sudden, those wrenches cost 3 times as much as they used to. Luckily, they don't break very often. And we're fairly successful in not losing them in the yard. So that you just find a rusty, vaguely wrench-shaped thing in the grass. Hey, welcome to the Society of No Bonuses, 9 Bolts. It's nice to have you aboard. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. When someone shows up and becomes a photographer and or editor, and I can make stuff in advance, we'll talk about members' content again. Somebody said like more behind the scenes stuff would be great for members, and if I can, I don't know, find a way to manufacture focus, then I would not rule that out at all. I tried the foam link you sent me for shims. They are less than 3mm thick and floppy. What? Okay, then you got sent that link that I sent for the foam should be this exact. It should be this exact foam right here. Unless Amazon be Amazonin, which is not out of the question. You've never replaced spark plugs in a Germanix inline 6. No, the worst offender ever was. Oh, buying a lathe. Okay. The worst offender ever was the Nissan 300ZX, the like new one. Well, by new one, I mean like the one in the 90s. It had spark plugs literally up against the strut towers. Like you could hook your wrench up and go click, 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 and then disconnect everything and then put it back on and go click, 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 click. how much more private a club is needed. So buying a lathe. I pretty much exclusively have run what they call MIDI lathes for wood lathes. And in machine lathe terms, I run what are called micro lathes. And the only difference in lathes, particularly when it comes to cost, is how big that lathe is. How big is it this way? How big of a piece can you turn vertically? And how big of a piece can you fit lengthwise? Now, for most of the stuff we're doing, if you have a lathe that has 8 inches of capacity this way and 4 or 5 inches of capacity this way, it's more than big enough. I made the same lathe that I use to make all the RC car parts now I've made shift knobs and car parts and you name it on that lathe. So a MIDI lathe is where I would recommend to start just because of footprint. And that jet that's over there now, the one that you've seen in the videos, when I bought that lathe was like $300. I don't even know how much that lathe is now, but I've had that lathe 16, 17 years. And I had a Delta MIDI before that, which if you were to set them side by side, one was gray and one was white. They were basically like the tail stock from the one would slide right onto the other one. They use the same taper pitch. They use the same everything. Penn State Industries, PSI Woodworking, used to make basically an equivalent of that MIDI, but it was a step up. It was way nicer. It had nicer drive belts. It had variable speed control without changing belts. I just run one speed all the time. It was really nice, and I put off buying it and put off buying it and put off buying it because it was $4.99, and I thought that was too expensive. And I've not gotten up the confidence to look it up, but I would reckon that lathe is probably $1,000 now. Yeah, Nissan started a long time ago in making infuriating cars, and it has only gotten more so from what I understand. Great new obstacle, Mr. C. Thank you very much. It was something that should have been done in the span of like a week. I felt it and am feeling it. I went too fast on that, but I was on a schedule. That was why, I don't know if you could tell, but if you watched that movie in time lapse, that video in time lapse, and you just went from one end to the other, each successive day less work got done. There was like a lot and then a little bit less and then a little bit less because by that Wednesday I was torched. And it was about 11 a.m. and you want to talk about not filming things in advance is when you're wrapping up the filming on a video like 5 hours before it goes live. But yeah, I have to order from Lowe's. I dug through my piles and I have 4 bags of mortar, and there's no way 4 bags of mortar are going to finish that obstacle off. It's too big. It's too big. When I look at it from a distance now, I go, yikes, that was 3 days. It's basically the same size as the main structure of Hannah, Montana, the main mountain at Hannah, Montana. But Hannah, Montana is all dirt on the inside, and that thing is no dirt on the inside. Now that Brian Massey is saying that his had to reset the Google password to do it, which is causing me anxiety. Yeah, the last time I changed my Google password was because they forced me to do so. Like they had some sort of internal, like, oh, when are you going to run some tires inside out? I would have to try. I don't know if you can mount a tire inside out, but I'll give it a try. Oh, this tire is. This one is not having it. This one is not having it. What's a good tire that fits in Jora inserts and isn't in Jora or Proline? Well, let me tell you. As we learned with the ruptures, you can indeed run those in Jora inserts just fully bagged out. Just flopping around inside the tire. And it worked. It was genuinely surprising how good it was. What? Did a comment just disappear? I thought a comment just popped up behind that one and just disappeared. That was weird. Otherwise, you can shim it. You just cut the fridge foam and you shim one side of the Injora insert. That's what I run in Lolo, who was over here a second ago. And I also run that in Kronk. I run greens in megalithics with just one 8mm foam shim on one side of the tire. And then in landmines, I run the blues with one shim of foam on one side of the tire. I just use the stock foam and I trace around it. I've been telling myself that because a lot of the foam I have is green, I'm going to see if I can cut it with the laser, and then I immediately forget. Oh, Barry Rhodes, electricity due to the storms. The storms. Yes, you may absolutely ask a follow-up lathe question. I'm here for lathe questions because I know a little bit about toy cars, and I'm trying to get better about it. But I know a fair amount about wood lathes, particularly because I've been using them for a long time. 27 years since I first used a wood lathe. We will, Barry. We'll know you're here in spirit, and we'll see you in the replay. I figure about it. It seems like about 2/3 of the folks watch it in later, which is that's fine. That's fine. The foam was thin. What about EVA? I don't know. The only thing I've used is the fridge liner. Oh, so you got the fridge liner that's like this. That's like that thin. It definitely does exist. Yeah. But I mean, there's no another guy that I saw, he had made a little, was it on Instagram? Did somebody send it to me? They get a little board. They have a board of the thickness they want, say like 8mm, and then they take a big blade, like one of these blades like this, and every one of these blades has a hole down at the bottom of it, and they just screw it down to that board. They push a foam insert up against it and just spin it, and they cut off wafers of the foam. So you can make your shims for free. And out of one of these, like, oh, I think I just threw them in the bag. Yeah. So you could cut 4 or 5 shims. You could cut a full set of shims out of one of these foams, and they'll work perfect. Oh, because Canada. Yeah. That was me cutting stock foams. There you go. That guy. Bouncing noise. Yeah, that's spot on. I've done it on the lathe, but his method looks a lot simpler, easier, and faster than the way I've been doing it. But cutting out the fridge foam with a pair of scissors is also pretty easy. Have I tried the dual stage liner? No, that's going to go in a set after these boys are built. We're gonna do the thing. That's what these are for. Tomax and Zaymach 45 and 44 are this and that, because it will give us here the ability to literally make one change on one vehicle and then run 2 vehicles with one change and see what the difference is. Oh, so I buy a microwave. What are the essential tools for making the things, links, etc.? You've got the stuff that's associated directly with links, like taps and dies. That's completely different. My recommendation for all things not steel. Now, okay, when you talk about a micro lathe, are you talking about a machine lathe, like the little central industrial or central machinery one I have, or are you talking about a wood style lathe like the Jet? Because if it's an industrial lathe, is RC Family in England? I use carbide inserts for that. You know what? I'm doing that thing again. Razor sharp fillet knife. I can just grab them. It's easier to grab them. So I use this on both lathes, but oh, thank you, RC Jeep guy. Packing foam from transmitters and other items. Yeah. Reusing foam is the best foam. I use, these are AR6 carbide cutters. This is what I use on most materials on the micro lathe, and you can get them very inexpensively. Well, here in America. I order these primarily from McMaster Industrial. These are like $2 to $3 each. And honestly, I use them for way longer than I should. This particular angle, that angle, whatever that bevel, I think they're 15 degree, is the cutter I use most often. And then to do stuff that I shouldn't be doing on the wood lathe, when I treat the wood lathe like a metal lathe, you can also get bits, this translates in. You can buy bits that look like this, but at the end look like that, because this is indexable and you can rotate it. And then they all come in different shapes. You can get round ones, pointed ones, angled ones. You can do all the thing. You just buy some bits. Yeah, insert tooling is very reasonable. The bits are very inexpensive because they are not designed to last very long. And when you go to order them, if you're ordering them from an industrial supply, they will tell you what type of carbide is on the tip of the cutter and what materials it's best for. Because I learned early on when doing shift knobs and stuff, they make drill bits that are specifically for plastics, and I don't like it. I don't like drill bits and stuff for plastics because they cut so fast that they try to like spin you around. I mostly just drill cobalt into everything because cobalt bits from Amazon are crazy inexpensive. And a lot of the parts that we have on vehicles and stuff are hardened. So when you're drilling into that stuff, stainless steel, I don't know about anybody who does it professionally, but stainless steel as an amateur tinkerer is an absolute nightmare. It's a terrible, terrible material. It's not as bad as copper when I've worked with raw copper, but stainless steel is hard and soft at the same time. So the tool wants to chatter, the tool wants to skip. It wants to get really hot and turn all the shavings blue. I am not a machinist. I'm not a carpenter. I'm not a woodworker. I'm not any of the things. I kind of play one on the internet a little bit. Yeah, stainless steel is gummy. Yeah, there was a time before eBay determined that anything vape related is paraphernalia and banned it all. I was doing a small cottage industry of making vape tips. And if you want to make them out of certain materials, knowing that it's something someone is going to put in their mouth, you can't use your favorite things like naval brass, because naval brass has lead in it. And that's probably not good for people. So I got on request, I made a couple sets of vape tips out of oxygen-free copper, 99.7% pure copper, and it's a nightmare. It's a screaming nightmare. It is the worst. I used to think stainless steel was bad, and then I met 99% pure copper. It is rock hard. You have to use the highest grade cutters and bits to drill it and turn it, and it turns terrible. I don't know how people do it willingly. But I made like 3 tips out of it and was like, I'm never doing that again. I just grabbed a random set of Canyon Trails, because if we're not outfitting these guys with Canyon Trails, what are we even doing? And this set is a little more haggard. That's when that little voice in your head says, Danger Will Robinson. Yeah, there are a lot, speaking of Gibson Life, speaking of the way Harley designs those things, there's a lot easier ways to do things than the way I do them. You fall into a pattern. Is a little lead any worse than the vaping? I will leave the answer to that question to the physicians. I don't know. But I could not in good conscience sell to people things with lead in it. I mean, I use all of the links. If you see a brass link on here, on any of the vehicles, like what's on Jolly Green, those have got lead in them. I'm sure that Chinesium brass isn't from salvage. If you're buying your brass on Amazon, that was part of an old oil tanker that they ran aground in India. Yeah, I'm quite sure of that. Have you tried turning it with really high speed for the copper? Yeah, as fast as the lathe would go. Almost folded that one over a little bit. Yeah, I turn most everything at too high of a speed. I drill at too high of a speed. Like when I'm drilling steel on the drill press, I pick a speed and I just kind of leave it there. So I'm drilling steel at like 2,300 RPM. Chinese toys don't mind. Yeah, a little bit of lead. Just a little bit of lead. It's the Princess Bride, you know? You get a little bit of lead in you. You just slowly increase your dose until you develop that immunity to lead. That's how that works, right? We train ourselves to resist the lead. Don't eat lead, everybody. I feel like being on the internet, you have to offer the disclaimer to please don't eat lead. But, you know, where is it here in America? Great America, land of the free in the future. Where is it in America that they haven't had the money to replace all the pipes? All the water pipes still have lead in them. Detroit, somewhere like that. There's still like 40% of the people still that get their municipal water out of leaded pipes. I don't know. Maybe. I thought I would be putting a chassis together at this point, but there's too many wheels. Well, I'm not building the other set. It didn't matter. This set was closer to my hands. Copper on a lathe is like shaping bubble gum. Yeah. I gained immunity in the 70s eating the delicious paint chips. Delicious. Delicious flavors. We don't talk about Flint. That's where it is. Good old Flint, Michigan. Do you still have the tiger dogs? No. I don't have Kraken claws. You know what? I answered that too soon. I will grab the non-tire rack box. Yes. Fukushima tuna. The Fukushima tuna should have the radiation and the mercury. That's double your pleasure right there. What did they say? Because, you know, there's, if anybody's, what is it? Is it The Cove? That terrible movie or documentary that was on Netflix about how in some parts in Japan they still kill dolphins and eat them. And most of the Japanese people don't even know that people are still fishing for dolphin because they're like, don't do that. And they took one of those dolphins that got killed in that cove, and the mercury level in it is like, that guy could be a thermometer. So, like, maybe don't eat dolphins? I don't know. I love the way you do stuff. It reminds me of the way I learned it when it comes to just running the die on the link. Yeah, I just, it has turned into a phrase of utmost truth, which is, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just doing it. Like, go in without a plan. That's the best way to get there. In London, most of the water mains, pipes, in Victorian and Edwardian houses are still lead. Man. Did you see that? Did anyone else see the thing about over in London, they figured out ghosts? They figured out what ghosts are. And it was from people who had gas lamps in their houses. And they were all getting, like, basically gas poison, so they were hallucinating. That's basically where ghosts came from, because, like, prior to that, there were spirits. Like, they believed that the elders were still around, but nobody actually, like, saw ethereal ghosts floating around in their house until they started installing gas lamps in their houses. So I think that's why we can't find any ghosts, because they're all gas lamp hallucinations. Dolphin is the hamburger of the sea. Yeah, it is definitely wrong to eat dolphins, because I think we've watched enough shows where they show dolphins solving puzzles and remembering people and doing all the things that seem to indicate a perception of self. And if a thing has a perception of self, maybe don't eat it. I don't know. I'm not a vegan by any means, or even a vegetarian because, you know, meat. But, like, I think someone posed the question, if it could talk, would you eat it? Like, would you eat a parrot? Like parrot, and that one parrot that's all over Instagram, like, he knows what a bowl, glass. Like, he seems to know what things are. So, like, I couldn't eat that guy. Also, parrots under the feathers are really small. There'd be really no point in eating him. But, we gotta, here you go. 40-minute in spin. If Susan ain't spinning, are we even doing this thing? Wow. She's on the game today. I need to move her out of the way, though. She's gonna go over here. The question.
You don't need anything. I'm gonna take these back. These are the ones I put on there.
The unanswered question is, this is VS 410 rails, and this is the skid for the. Now I notice I went to look and see what the maximum pinion size were on these guys, and I found it on Amazon, and they were all currently unavailable. Is anything actually available on Amazon for more than like a week? It doesn't feel like it. Every time I go to look for something, they're like, no, that's already gone. But politicians can talk. I don't want to eat those guys. There's... No. Don't you remember you are what you eat, as they say? I'm definitely not eating a politician. Those guys are full of all of the things that the check boxes on your YouTube offensive content checklist. So whatever you do, don't eat a politician. I realize that what I should have done is, because I'm gonna have to mount some of those. I chose. This is already incorrect. I did not choose. 4-link. 4-link was chosen for me because the gentleman who dropped off the parts, the plastic parts, neither of these bags have panhard mounts in them. And a Vanquish panhard mount is $22. So I was like, you know what? Servo on axle it is. I'm not buying $44 worth of panhard mounts. I just had to buy a panhard mount for Lord Pennaby for $16, and I didn't want to do that. We don't need that. Bag C1. Keep putting the... There we go. I didn't know how to weld until a year ago. Taught myself, and now I can lay a mean-ass bead. I can't weld for crap, but I do it anyway. Everybody keeps telling me that flex core is not helping me. But gas bottle expensive. And I have been, while I can mentally justify a lot of things, I have as of yet been incapable of justifying purchasing a gas bottle and getting it filled to weld a toy car bumper once every other month. Flex core works just fine for welding up a crack in a wheelbarrow or fixing the chipper when it's broken, you know, something like that. Or my dirt sifter that I use out there, one of the corners cracked and I welded it back together and it worked just fine on the flex core. I cannot make a pretty weld. I basically tack weld and then kind of blur them together. But as long as the piece stays together, then the entire process was a success. I bought some wheels on Amazon the other day, and 5 minutes later they went on sale. How about you order a bunch of cans of spray paint and some necessary items like rod ends and body mount posts and things like that to replenish stock from AMain, and they send you an email and it says, "Congratulations, your order has shipped." And then an email right behind that from AMain says, "Hey, spend $150 and we'll give you a free t-shirt." And I'm like, you know what? Would you like to know what I just ordered? I ordered yesterday. So no A-Main t-shirt. I wouldn't mind learning how to braze. I wouldn't either. I bought the silver solder and the stuff. Oh, God, it's probably been in a bag over there for a year. One day. But a grinder and paint makes the welder you ain't. Ain't that the truth? I weighed the FTX Gladius rails, and including the bits I cut off, they were 440 grams. Yeah, so this is the pair of VS410 rails. One TRX4 rail weighs as much as both of these. Like I said, the TRX4 is a tank masquerading as a rock crawler. Oh, Gare's got the email as well for the free t-shirt. But had you just, like, within hours placed an order? Because that was how I felt like it was intentional. I felt, as they say, I took that personally. Oh, I should have put links together for sure. So we need lowers, at least. Lower, upper, and upper. I mean, I gotta put them all together. We're gonna go all in. We're gonna do the unsmart thing. We're gonna do the unwise thing. So when you buy the cheap link set, the RC Lions link sets are like $16. I don't recommend anybody use these rod ends because the actual amount of meat that's outside the ball is so thin that basically the first time you get a wheel bound up, you'll just rip a rod end off. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe these will live. We're gonna find out together. So maybe you'll get to see the old floppy wheel at some point from one of these boys as we get out there. Oh, now I'm also double remembering. You can't just bash these on. They won't go. The plastic is like whatever the content of stuff that you need versus the content of stuff that you want doesn't line up. So the only way to actually use these is oh man, Gares, let me tell you about A-Main spending. I'm, of course, as one would expect, I'm on the platinum, right? Platinum annual spend. But for those of you who are on the A-Main Customer Rewards Program, I usually hit platinum by about this time of year. And that should be the amount of money I spend in a whole year, not in 4 months. Wants over needs, though. You know, $3,500. It's a platinum. $3,500. Have you tried the RPM rod ends? RPM rod ends are great. The problem is RPM doesn't make angled rod ends. And by angled, I mean these are very gently angled like that. But in a lot of instances, particularly when looking at, where did I put it? When looking at this, so this is that, it's a clone of somebody. I can't remember it. 18% underdrive. I think it's like 18.6%. This is the underdrive output, and this is the regular output, and look how close it is to the motor. So we are using a centered pumpkin, thankfully. I think, I hope, I don't know. We haven't tried to mount this thing yet. We might have to space this up to even get the drive shaft to not hit the motor. It is going to be, as Bender the Robot would say, fun on a bun. No, I seldom sit down. And from all the years of cycling, my heart rate variability is very low. So my heart rate sitting down versus my heart rate standing up is like the same. So this thing never thinks I get up. It'll give me like 1 stand minute for the whole hour, but I won't have sat down for like 4 hours. Just on my feet all the time. Well, until like, I don't know, what's a thing that you get from standing? Sciatica? Is that one? Till my body just betrays me completely and gives me sciatica. Then I'll sit down a lot more. And here I'm thinking I've spent a lot on 2 sets of fake drabs for 20 pounds. Hey, it's all relative, man. It's all relative. I wish you nothing but the best of luck with your new Furatech system, because the increasing number of stories I'm hearing where people are like, basically, it did not go well, is ever growing. I think Furatech is really small. There's only like a couple people actually involved in it, and I don't know if they bit off more than they can chew. I don't know what it is.
They did with the RTRs.
But this is a genuinely weird selection of rod ends that came with this. There's a handful of bent ones, but most of them are straight. I'm just going to use them anyway.
Is that a kit or a scratch?
Oh, it's a VS410 chassis, so. But we're just hodgepodging it together with whatever we've got. We have no idea if the parts will even work together until we find out. I have not previously put Mias axles under a VS410. For next project, I want to go Outrunner, V80 plus S20. In my opinion, you can't do better. My recommendation to everyone now is, unless you want to go for the real economy, because now that the Rhino S12s and S20s are out, you can get the, time to stand. You can get the older 9i mods, Globe Acts. You can get those super cheap now. But in my opinion, it's not worth it. It's worth it to spend a little bit of extra money, particularly if you're doing as most people are doing and ordering from AliExpress. Last time I looked on AliExpress, the combo for the V80 with the S20 is like $115 or something. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Most often, I'll still go Fusion SE, because nobody beats a Fusion SE. Yeah. Mr. Rombo, every time I check new arrivals on Enjora, it's 9/10 of the things for 18th and 24th scale. I was just talking yesterday, day before yesterday, about if there were, someone needs to make an app that will allow me to ignore all 1/18th scale search results. When I'm looking for TRX4, I mean TRX4. I never put an M. I did not include an M. I don't want 18th scale parts. And Amazon is absolutely flooded with 18th scale parts for TRX4. But it is not something for me. Yeah, the Rhino 3532, that one that Rhino was using is effectively the same as the 3532s and 3542s that you see from under all the labels. The new S20, the S12s and the S20s are outstanding. They're so good. There's so much more like noticeable torque in that S20, but it's not so much better that if I have something fitted with a 3532 or a 3542, I'm going to swap it out for an S20. Any future plans to do a leaf spring build? I watched those Twisted Fab videos on the Leafs that he puts on this chassis. That is sick. That is outstanding looking stuff. And seeing the amount of labor that goes into doing that, it just tells me that it has to be expensive. It's got to be expensive. But yes, there is more than one Leaf build imminent. We will be doing an in-house Leaf build, and we will be doing a build for a Canyonero build, a 404 build. So there are only 4 angled, 6 angled. Why wouldn't there be 8 angled ones? Angled? There are 4 angled ones. Okay, we're just going to use straight ones. Mini crawlers are all the rage right now. I don't get it. Which Mias axles are you using? The nylon, the portals. Yes, the portals. I've got a stubby kit, so I went with the Furatech because they helped sponsor the build. Well, I mean, if they sponsored the build, that's who you go with. The S20 will fit perfectly in the stubby kit. There's about 5 millimeters behind an S20 in the stubby kit. A 3532, as far as I know, will not fit. It's just a little too long. Higher performance leafs are 200. Yeah. That's kind of what I anticipated. That doesn't seem outrageous. If you watch that video of him making a set of links out of, what are they? They're recoil starter springs from like lawnmowers. That is too much work, man. That is too much work. Just in terms of labor hours, he's really, hey, Andre, he's really doing that thing where the parts don't cost a whole lot of money, but you ain't paying for the parts. You're paying for the labor and the know-how. I get it. It's the same reason I've got AM Garage bumpers on my Marlin. I can't do that. Can't do that at all. Well, I could, but mine would look catastrophic by comparison. So I'll just buy them. Yeah, the AM Garage stuff all looks great. Fallen in love with leaf rigs after building my TF2. They are fun. They genuinely are. I get it. But then you get in something, you know, with a 12-degree skid and a cheater chassis and stuff, and you're like, oh, man, this is, what was I doing? There's a dead... I've been telling people, I guess some of the Lord Pennaby videos have been making people go, man, now I want to try Class 1 tires. And I go, good. Class 1 tires are great, but... I tell people, don't just jump straight into like a Marlin. Like the learning curve is so steep. You have to drive it so different that just taking some of the rig and throwing Class 1s on it is a nice way to introduce yourself to it, to get used to that less clearance, and then you can take away all of your compliance and all of your down travel and all that stuff. I want my Rift kit to be much more of a crawler than a rock bouncer. Should I lock all 3 diffs or just the center to make it much better on the rocks until I do a full crawler build? I did this during the Rift build series. Is a big long one on the channel, so I understand if you don't want to go through the whole thing. But I did the wrong thing, which is I locked 1 diff at a time. Even if you're going to use it for high speed, just lock all 3 diffs. It's just more fun to drive with all 3 diffs locked. It doesn't gain anything. And I mean, I guess if you were using it for full rock racing, you could get away with the open diffs. But if even just mushing around at speed on dirt, it was significantly more fun with all 3 diffs locked. You don't get it if you haven't tried it. The 1/8 scale is small enough to indoor. But yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I get it's just like those poor indoor 5 months out of the year Scandinavians with their Orlando Hunters, their SCX 24s. I get it. The snow outside is taller than a man, but I don't have to crawl indoors. so 18th scale, because yeah, I'm holding a link. I've got giant meat claws, just like Mr. Krabs, and working on little stuff. I don't like it, and working on them and building it is as much of a part as wheeling it. So if I don't like working on it, I ain't gonna want to do it. Just bought my first leafer because the RC 4-wheel drive sale. I have just avoided going. I won't even look. Because as I said, there's already a couple here. Not yet built. I've used so many of these link kits. They are my go-to link kit, man. We don't play with the small ones when it's warm. It's almost like the temperature affects the size. What? Come on, give it to. There we go. Beautiful. Fantastic. I hear outside. I hear the sounds of people working. And, they're clean. I think they're cleaning out over there and throwing away the rest of that above ground pool. I love the sound of other people working. This is the best. As long as it ain't me. And when they were tearing down that above ground pool, I got tricked into helping them do it for like 4 hours. All I wanted to do was sit down. Yeah, going from a VRD to a TF2, it's a whole new world. You have what my old music teacher, Mrs. Mellinger, calls stupid fingers. I am amazed. If there's a thing about me that I amaze myself with, it's the amount of dexterity that I actually do have. But like, putting all these in, it's not fun. I don't like it. But it's a necessary process, and it has to be done. And I can also do this. I can just crank rod ends on with my fingers. And I was helping a guy with his Phoenix, and he was like, "How are you doing that?" He's like, "I have to put a wrench through that and spin it." And I'm like, "No, we don't need to do that. We just put them together." Yeah, like I say, I don't have anything bad to say about small scale stuff. I just don't want to work on it. And I have I don't know if you've seen it. I do some videos on it. I have a course over there, and it's pretty much specifically geared towards a like one size. It's like a 10th scale. It's a 10th scale house.
You could find some lines on it though. You could find some cool lines.
I can't believe those guys are gonna go and camp. Oh, that sounds awful. You know what's awful?
He's got his tent on his truck, ready to go.
Camping. Yeah, he had the rooftop tent and everything.
I thought they were getting a hotel room out there.
So now we have to. Oh, okay. No, it's predetermined for us. Okay. Can you do a review using baseline with the Red Cat Fusion tires? I think a lot of people enjoy. I did a quick view on the Red Cat, whatever they're called. Whatever the OE Red Cat tires were called, I did a quick view on that. They scored like an 88. They're not great. They're slightly worse than like a typical axial offering. A little worse than R35. Oh, I wonder if I can put a screw in that and hold this together. I was going to use big cap heads, but I get this OCD thing where I have to use the same type of screws all the way through. And no, I take that back. It's not an OCD thing. It's an I don't want to change the wrench thing. So if the rig is put together using a 2.5, I want to put the whole thing together using a 2.5, and which is almost impossible because you're going to get to screws that need a 2mm. I love camping, but in London we get a train to where we're going to camp. Ugh. I've explained this. I'm sure. Now, here comes old man brain. Here he comes. I feel like I have lamented in the past that I like all of the things about camping. Campfire, hiking, s'mores, swimming in the creek. I do not like sleeping in a thin jacket that's been turned into a building. That's the part that I don't like. And pooping in the woods. But, in fairness, I don't think anybody likes pooping in the woods. Okay, we are going to have to modify these sliders just a little bit in order to get this skid to fit. That's going to be fun. Oh, that's going to be real fun. All right, we'll just assemble it without sliders for now. Then don't build a Vanquish. They can't even stick to 2 sizes. What was I just disassembling? I was just taking something apart, and you have to change wrench, change wrench, change wrench, change wrench, just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It had bears. I was my kids were in scouts, so I got connived into going to a camping trip, and it was in Wrightwood. I think it was in Wrightwood. And we're at the camping thing, and it's late at night, and I can't sleep because the ground under the tent's not level, and my body can tell it's not level, so it won't let me sleep. So I'm just sitting around the campfire waiting for basically to pass out. If I sleep in a camp chair and wake up with a broken neck, that's fine. I'll be better. That's better than sleeping on the ground. So we hear rustling in the bushes, and the dumbass that's sitting across from me. So picture this is the campfire, and this is me sitting over here, and this is the guy sitting over here, and we hear rustling directly behind him. So he reaches into his pocket and pulls out one of those little, like, you know how cops have the brightest flashlight in the world, but it's the size of a Sharpie? He pulls out one of those and he shines it over into the bushes, and just rising out of, I don't know if we could do it bottom of frame. So rising up out of the, it goes like this. And there's just 2 little ears and 2 little shiny eyes, and it's a big old bobcat just chilling out there. And none of us slept, man. We all stayed awake until the sun came up. I went from like being very tired but couldn't fall asleep to, oh good, there's a bobcat over there. There was a story a couple of years ago about a guy was out like running, and he like got in a fist fight with a bobcat. Like it was starving or didn't have enough water, and it tried to attack him, and he like fist fought it and killed it. And I'm like, don't mess with that guy.
Yeah.
That guy fought a bobcat.
How big are bobcats?
Yeah, they're not that big. I think a kangaroo.
But here's the thing. A bobcat, you could make the argument, a bobcat not that big. A house cat can mess you up,
Yeah.
and they weigh 9 pounds.
This is true.
25-pound bobcat, watch out.
So they're about the size of a medium dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't forget, the man in charge put teeth on all of its toes and in its mouth. It's just covered in teeth. I just saw a thing on Instagram where somebody took 2 colanders and they put a cat in it, so the cat's curled up just sitting there, puts them together, flips it over like this, and every time they take the lid off, the cat's just sitting upright like nothing happened. And you're like, how is that cat doing that? So somebody took 2 clear glass bowls and put the cat in there, and when they flip it, the cat, flexible spine, it just goes, it just turns over. Like its head just rotates in space. Its body rotates around its head. And the cat's like, what are you doing? What are you even doing?
They're amazing.
Cats are an amazing creation.
They could jump from here.
Yeah. I love hearing things like punch a shark in the nose. Have you ever tried punching underwater?
This would be like you jumping to the top of your building. A cat jumping to the top of this.
Jeej would regularly just jump to the top of a 6-foot cedar fence and land on the top of the fence and stand there. That's 5/8 of an inch wide.
That's you jumping a 3-story building.
That's me jumping a 3-story. No, jumping up onto a power line and just landing on the power line. Yeah. Cats are
Amazing.
Cats are amazing things. Bobcat Goldthwait is mostly harmless. They call a bobcat a furry razor blade. Yeah, I'm not here to mess with bobcats. I'm just gonna drill these holes out in this chassis a little bit bigger. We'll go one step at a time. It's gonna have sliders on it eventually. I mean, understand, you know, whenever you get into the process of doing things that you're not supposed to be doing, like the holes in the skid and the holes in the chassis, they almost line up. Almost. But they don't. They do, but they don't. Yeah, there's a couple people sitting over here. Just you know. And then we've got the people doing work outside. We got the people working. I love that. I had to Google what a bobcat is, so it's a lynx. Yeah, pretty much. Kind of. Similar, but I think lynx are even bigger. And lynx have giant feet like me.
Big bucket on it. He popped that. He's got a big bucket on it.
Ah, even Chuck Norris wouldn't mess with my cat. And here's the thing. I know I've said before that due to childhood issues, I'm not a dog person, so I ended up a cat person like by default. I know everybody says, "Oh, my animal has such a personality," which I mean is true, but we have 4 cats now, and for a short amount of time we had 5, and they are all so wildly different. Not in terms of just not looking the same, but man, are they? I have a 3.5 millimeter drill bit. Of course.
In this bin.
Those cats. I hunted bear before for the first time. After the shoot, they're playing dead. Oh, yeah, no, that's okay. That's okay. No, thank you.
5 millimeter. Get out.
Are you trying to tell me that not everybody has a 3? I'm drilling the holes out in this chassis, so that the screws will maybe sort of line up a little bit. I thought bobcats were cougars, mountain lions. No, thank God, no. A bobcat is much closer to the size of a house cat than it is to like a mountain lion. Mountain lions, if that had been a mountain lion in the bushes, that's it. I get in the car and I drive home.
That's a great thing.
It's time to go home. Mountain lion is like 80 pounds. And 80 pound of cat is just murder. That's just murder. A competitor for the world's strongest man, upon seeing a mountain lion, just goes, yep, nope, and goes the other way. It's like we're going way back in the days of YouTube. There's these guys, and they have the authentic old, like, Japanese garb for, like, sword fighters. And somebody in the audience asks, what do you do if you get in a fight with somebody that has a sword and you don't have a sword? And he gets in front of the guy, and they bow, and he goes, okay, here's what you do. And the guy gets his sword out, and he holds it in front of him like that, and the other guy just turns and runs away. That's pretty much it. Because if the other guy has a sword and you don't have one, he's going to kill you with it. And if you're a human, and that's a mountain lion, unless that mountain lion has been, like, gravely injured... Yeah, no. Yeah. It's gonna win. I mean, nature always wins, but a mountain lion pretty much always wins too. If that had been a cougar, you probably never would have known it was there. And ignorance is bliss, my friends. I'm absolutely fine not knowing that the cougar's out there, because for the most part, cats they'll avoid. They won't. They're here to eat a rabbit. They're not here to try to take on a person. It's the same with sharks. It's the same with all predators. Predators punch down. But they don't have to. Well, I don't know. Well, yeah, bears. Bears have to punch down. There's nothing bigger than a bear. What's going to stop a bear? While we're on the topic, I don't trust horses either. I don't trust them. The horse is the deadliest mammal in North America. and I know what you're saying. You're like, horses don't attack people. No, stupid humans get on the backs of horses, and then the horse goes, "Get off of me!" And when they fall, they land on their head, and then they just get killed. Technically by a horse, actually by gravity, but a horse was involved. So what I'm saying is, don't put yourself in the position of being thrown off by a horse. Any cat over 25 pounds is not your friend and should be avoided. It's absolutely true. Someone's mentioned Maine Coons a moment ago. Yeah, they have there's been an explosion of like Maine Coon videos on YouTube. What is wrong with these people? Like, I want a cat the size of a Labrador Retriever. There's one where she's doing dishes and the cat is standing up and it's got its paws on the counter. No! That's too big of a cat to have in a house with a person. You live with a cat now. That cat doesn't live with you. At any moment, that cat could choose to change the power dynamic, and then that cat runs the place. This is my house now. I got these screws about halfway tight, and what happens is, basically, the bottoms are dead parallel. So to get this, I had already ground a little bit off of it, but I haven't ground enough off of it. So I have got to grind this down a little bit flatter. Thankfully, it is Delrin, so this won't be a problem. Sounds like a Savannah. It was a Maine Coon. Those Savannahs are also alarming. There's that Russian lady that's on like Instagram. They have one of those big Savannah cats, and it like every time they feed it, it's like no. That is not adorable.
From now on, you're sleeping in that little mattress on the floor now.
Yeah. Cat's going to choose the bed. You'll hear some, I don't know. The noise cancellation on the mic seems pretty good. I've had a fan going because, I don't know, it was stuffy. So maybe it will block out the sound of that sander. Maybe it won't. I don't know. But I've got to take this down like a millimeter or two. This is a good process, too, because I have to do this. I have to do all of this a second time.
Where's your bin full of skids? Where's just a millimeter or two shorter?
This skid is specific to that gearbox.
I know, but here's why. It's just a millimeter shorter.
Okay, I'm still over here and you're still over there. Now I've ground enough of the bottom off of it that the countersinks, the whole... Can you see this? The countersunk holes in there aren't deep enough, so I got to make those deeper.
So precision.
If we are nothing if not precise, this is a high-tech establishment. Only the finest in faux chinery is done here. We're just gonna blind these. There's good. There's good. I precision measured all of these parts. 3mm countersink. We're good.
Perfect.
If you only use your 3mm countersink on Delrin, it'll last it for an eternity. Can you say hello to Rachel, my other half, who's actually sitting down and listening to the live stream? Hey, Rachel, what's going on? We're How you been? We're having a good time. You know what we're also doing? We're having a good time. Bengals, yeah, that's the big one. That thing's loud as heck. Yeah, it's very old. My cat was 20 pounds and she was in charge. Yeah. Yeah. She could have decided to take over at any moment, and no one would have been able to stop her. My Xbox mate has 30 plus cats. Nope. As an owner of over 30 rock crawlers, I can tell you with great honesty, owning over 30 of anything is a problem. And I'm not that guy from the internet that had, like, what was it? How many thousand slot cars did he have?
Oh, I remember the slot cars.
Like 13,000 slot cars or something? Slot cars are cool. Hot Wheels are cool too. I feel like people they go a little overboard with the Hot Wheels. They go a little overboard.
Yeah, me too. When I was a kid, I never stayed on the track.
And Hot Wheels knows about this. They're aware. Hot Wheels is like Skynet. They know. So they make some of those Hot Wheels like impossible to get.
But then they disappeared for a while. Then they'll bring them back.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, bring back something.
That's the McRib tactic.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I got it pulled back enough. Well, we're gonna find out. No, this old boy ain't gonna have no carton. Nope. I'm gonna go up to a 21. We're going to 21. Does Mrs. Canyon own a crawler or have a favorite one? Okay, based on that question, I am now going to access the mental database. Polling. Has my wife ever driven a crawler at all? Like, has she ever squeezed a trigger and turned the wheel in close proximity to each other? Oh, I want to say the short answer to that is no. The favorite one is the one that she doesn't have to see or deal with in any way. She does not want to be a party to my shenanigans. Yes, Mr. Leeson, there are two people here, so if your voice is... And the front of the shop, I don't trust... This camera is on constant power, so I don't trust moving it, so I'm not pivoting it in the mount. But if I pivoted it in the mount, you could see I have the front door open. So if you hear voices bouncing in... I call them the squatters. It's my brother-in-law. He lives in my side driveway. They're doing some sort of cleaning over there. So, like I said, I get to look outside and people pulling stuff by in a yard cart. And I just laugh because other people working is one of my favorite things. We're going all the way. And by all the way, got that stuck pretty good. Let's go from the other side. Fixes everything. We're drilling 4mm holes in the VS4 Chen chassis. We've gotten these cored out to 4. Ooh, we're not too close to the bend yet. No. So if you want to go out and buy a VS410, what I'm putting together right here, it's like $90. But we keep converting Phoenixes over to Zokus.
Right.
We've got Phoenix chassis just lying around. So it seemed the perfect thing. I thought it was... Does Mrs. C at least enjoy the beautiful backyard? Yeah, oh yeah. Straight out the door is her gazebo under the trees. And sometimes she just goes out there and sits in her gazebo. And it's all surrounded by plants. And it's really a lovely place. It's a lovely little place. And when the big tree fell down in the wind year before last, it didn't knock the gazebo down. So there's the super bonus. I've lost the skid. There it is. Help building obstacles. I managed to get my son out there for almost 60 consecutive minutes to help me move dirt and rock.
Can that help when I live down here?
That's a record.
60 minutes out of a kid.
That's a record.
It's impressive. I'll take it.
You don't give me credit for helping.
No, you get no credit for anything. Yeah, so she, as I said, whatever goes on the other side of the fence, she doesn't care about. As long as her lawn is kept nice and all of the yard things are tended to, she's absolutely fine. She allows me to participate in my shenanigans. Okay, now how are those two holes lining up and the other two holes not lining up? Are we going to have to Dremel this? This chassis does not, how much did you have to pay him? I didn't pay him nothing. That's not true. That's an outright lie. every once in a while, I will get a text. A text will pop up in my phone and go, the words will be, send the boy $20. And I will log into my mobile app for banking, and I will send $20 from my phone to his phone. So, oh, he gets paid. So he was working off a debt, which will never be repaid. No children will ever repay their debts to their parents. They're 18 and 20. They could care less. No, that's not true. That's a misuse of a statement. They couldn't care less. Zoomies. No, that was 60 minutes start to finish. He was out there with me for 60 minutes because I did it the only way that works, which is I approached him 2 days before and said, I'm going to need you for about 60 minutes. And then I got him out there. And I mean, he's young and he's strong and he can handle it. And he only mashed one of his fingers between a chunk of concrete and the wheelbarrow. So it was a win. I as well, I mashed one of my fingers. I don't know what I mashed it on, but the bruise is starting to purple there. It's really fun too. Index finger on my right hand, being right-handed. What a perfect finger to smash. So this morning when I was assembling those beadlocks, I had to put all of get the 2mm started like this, which is great. Let's employ a bigger finger. And yes, Gares, they never do pay off the debt. And now, we live in the dark dystopian future previously only dreamed by Huxley and Orwell. I don't know if they're ever going to get to leave. When my son was a senior in high school, he had to do this project in some sort of economics class where they had to like build a budget for like living on your own. And they came to the conclusion that in Southern California, you'd have to make $70,000 a year to live on your own. $70,000 a year. Are you kidding me? That was 2 years ago. And that was 2020. That was in 2022. It's got to be higher now. When I graduated high school and got my first job, I was making $180 a week. Is what I was making. So call it $600 a month. I was making $7,000 a year. We would go on vacations. We would go to Vegas. We would do all the things. And now if you had 70 grand, you would basically be impoverished and eligible for government support. And so I keep telling him there's no reason that he needs to leave. Just stay here. It's the old, was it George Thorogood? Cheaper to keep her? Yeah, it's cheaper to keep them. Getting rid of the kids, man. I'd still end up paying.
Right.
I'd still have to pay.
A lot more.
You know what I just wondered? You know what I just noticed? I think this skid is. Oh, we're in for some stuff here, ladies and gentlemen. I just had a thought. As I started to bolt that together, I'm like, that is tight. This skid is. We're like 7mm narrower. This thing is going to be proper weird. We're gonna see how this ends up, because when we got to put the hard plastics in the front and the back, it's gonna span it out. Am I gonna have to put spacers on this?
Phoenix chassis don't pinch. Phoenix chassis doesn't pinch like that.
Well, if you get them through the same hole, this I've never seen your face. Are you secretly Jason Sudeikis? No, he's from Kansas. He has a Midwest sensibility that I don't have. Jason Sudeikis has famously said that Kansas barbecue is the best barbecue. And then all the Texans harumph in the distance. How dare you, sir? Oh, I am a font of useless information. My goodness. Oh man, I am just. What are we trying to do here? My friend, if you find an answer to that, It might be 42. You have found an answer to life, the universe, and everything. My hair was reddish for a time, but it is definitely not now. We've got okay, so I cannot be left to my own devices. I did not plan ahead. A failure to plan is a plan to fail. I have drilled out the wrong hole on this chassis. So I've got to drill this hole out. Okay, I take it back. I was wrong. I did plan ahead because I'm wearing shoes. And you would say, why is that relevant? Well, there are little metal shards all over the ground right now, and they would be stuck to my feet meat currently. That's a technical term used primarily by physicians and other healthcare professionals. The bottoms of your feet are simply referred to as feet meat. Was I trying to put this skid in upside down? I don't know what I've been doing for the last hour and a half. Oh my God. This is going to turn into pound and a half again. It's equally expensive and hopeless here. If you want your kids to ever get their own place, you best save up money for them from early on. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing we were never threatened of when we were young. And they were like, someday you'll have kids. What you need to do is put together a life savings for them. Because what did we do? I was out of the house by 18 years old. I was barely 18 and I was out of the house and I was on my own. And I understand that now that is not a reasonable reality. Feet meat sounds soulless. No, we've got souls. So my youngest kid, when they were small, they were adorable, and now they're just a teenager and annoying. But when they were small and adorable, we were at a supermarket of some kind, and for whatever reason, that supermarket had cow feet. There were just like the trotters, I guess. Like it was like the hooves, and like so. Imagine this is a foot. I can't get my foot up here. I'm old and inflexible. So there's like a foot, and then about this much of cow ankle, right? And on the label, it simply said beef feet. And I turned to my kid and I go, "Hey, what's that label say?" And the kid, in this adorable like 4-year-old voice, went, "Beef feet." And it lives rent-free in my head. I still think about beef feet routinely. Also, why are they selling just beef feet in the... What do you do with a beef foot?
Same thing you do with oxtail.
It was a pair of beef feet, I should point out.
Beef soup.
Beef feet. You can use the hoof in a soup to thicken it.
Gelatin?
Beef feet soup.
Guess how I thicken that soup? That you're eating.
A fun game to play with your dinner guests. Guess how I thickened that soup? And 2 people just push their chairs away from the table. I don't want to know. No, it's just beef feet. It's just beef feet. 2 additional other people push their chairs away from the table. That's a worse answer. I've lost my shock tool here on the bench somewhere. We're having an existential crisis. I was out of the house a month after graduation. Yeah, back in the olden times. Don't forget the entree of Rocky Mountain oysters. Okay, I'm at a point where I need shock pliers, or I'm out of luck.
Take them to the other side with you?
Are you asking if I wandered off with them? Oh man, you're asking a loaded question there.
Out of the house early. And you know why? Because we built dioramas when we were kids. Shoeboxes. The dinosaurs.
We're gonna have to hope against hope that I can find the other bin of old tools.
Dioramas on the shoebox?
I built dioramas. I was made them flat.
Because in case anyone wonders where the scrambling is coming from,
That's what we are.
it is because the pivot balls on these, all the hollow balls are 7.5 millimeter, and all the hollow balls on the skid are 7. So I don't have to. But what are these?
What are those?
These are 7.5. So we're fine on that end. I need to push out 4 hollow balls. We'll do it. We're doing it old school. I just realized, did I just yell directly into that microphone? I probably did. I live next to San Francisco. I wish I'd stayed with my parents. Yeah, I ain't got nothing on y'all in the Bay Area. Nothing.
Poop in the streets.
We're not. Yucky poo-poos.
They pay
Actually
people.
poop in
They
the
pay
streets.
people to go get the poop out of the streets in San Francisco.
Big money.
It's not like a rumor.
What axles are
Mias nylons are what are going on here.
those? Oh, are they?
This is like my 5th. I think this is my 5th set of Mias
How
nylons.
wide are
They are the exact same width as an AR-44. It's a standard. So everybody's assuming it's going to be like Capra, but no, they're just normal width. So you don't have to worry about like that dude's rig that was here earlier
they? Mm-hmm.
with Capra with regular wheels.
Oh,
It's like
yeah.
that guy was approaching over square, but stable.
Yeah.
It's gonna be real stable, proper stable.
He was killing them on
Which
that.
GI Joes are those? It is the twins, Tomax and Zaymot, and much like the people behind Pokemon naming the snake Pokemon Econs, aka Snake backwards, they just put letters together and then put it in 2 different directions. I remember those guys are harking back to my childhood, Tomax and Zaymot, hanging out with the Baroness. They're coming out with like a fancy Baroness figure that's like $80, and I'm like, that's crazy. She has like 3 interchangeable heads. I've had this. Someone, I think I saw Hammer. Yeah, I've had this hammer for an eternity, and this hammer, much like the gent that lives behind me, this guy right here, which doesn't get used as much anymore, old Panavice, because I have an Omni Fixo now. But my grandfather had a Panavice when I was young, and I coveted it. I coveted the Panavice. It is a fantastic thing, man. Tools. What point is living if you can't buy all the tools that you want? All of the tools. Where's the Dr. Demento action figure? Hey, that's how far behind I am. The kids today, they don't know who Dr. Demento is. Dr. Demento. I used to listen to Dr. Demento on 94.7, the Mighty Met KMET.
Sunday nights.
Before that turned into 94.7, the Wave. All of y'all out there, y'all remember the radio. You remember the radio. You'd sit down and you listen to the radio because that was where music came from. There was no other place to get it. And we had stations around these parts that were like staples. We grew up on them, right? 94.7 was the rock station, the Mighty Met, KMET, and the 95.5 KLOS. And those were the stations. And here's the thing, living here where I live, we're LA adjacent, but we're not in it. So radio stations just barely make it out here. But we could get the Mighty Met. We could get KMET. And then one night,
Thank God for FM.
one of the DJs was like, well, it's been a great time. We loved playing all this music for you, but this is the end. And the station went off air. And then the next morning, it was 94.7 The Wave, and they played like Kenny G music. And it was like being shot. It was like someone coming into your house and attacking you. It's unforgiving. I think The Wave is still going.
It is.
I think it's still going. So that's got to be, what, 40 years of The Wave?
That's back when we had to wait for our favorite songs to come on the radio.
Yep. And you could tape your favorite song off the radio on a tape deck. If you had a tape deck that would record.
If you're that ingenuity.
Ah, fish heads, eat them up, yum.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like, you know how they try to claim Mandela effect on us, and that we don't actually remember the things that we remember. And I get angry and I yell at stuff. I go outside and I yell at a cloud. I feel like I'm the only person that remembers the Grease Man. Nino Grease Manelli. So good. Was so good. His stories about Carlos the International Terrorist. Oh, man. And out on his speedboat, because he ain't never going to be sailboating. When I was a pizza delivery driver, it was because he was on at the same time. I would listen to the Grease Man every time it was on. And then sit outside people's houses not carrying their pizza to the door because he's doing a funny bit.
I think you keep forgetting I'm 10 years ahead of you.
Oh, that's right. You remember the things that I don't know.
Yeah.
Jay Leeson going to bed already? Oh, man. I get it. I could go to bed right now, too.
First job was a paper route. I did it on horseback in Norfolk, but there were no sidewalks.
That sounds like an up to hill in the snow both ways kind of a story
No, horseback was easy.
from the olden times.
Yeah?
Yelling at clouds is okay. Yeah, they haven't yelled back yet. When our local station shut down, they played It's the End of the World by REM for their entire last day. I'm with it. I support that behavior entirely. We also, so more local to us, we have a station that is pretty much Inland Empire only. 96.7 KCAL. KCAL FM. KCAL FM had a morning show, and morning shows in America, I don't know how morning shows work in other countries, but morning shows in America have to have people making stupid and or lewd sound effects, and they have to do dumb things, and they have to tell ridiculous stories. And ours was, of course, called the Morning Stiffy, because the three people on it were named Stu, Tiffany, and Jimbo. And Stu and the Stew Man had been working in radio since, like, they invented FM radio.
Yeah.
Like, he was there from the beginning. And then as radio slowly made its descent into a quiet and undignified death, they decided the parent company, they got bought by Air One. They got bought by the giant conglomerate that owns all the radio stations. And they said, we can't afford to pay these guys what we pay them, so we're just going to phase that show out. And they basically said to him, yeah, Friday's your last show. And they had been on they had been on the air as a trio, as a team, since I was in high school. Like, they were there for like 25 years. It was every morning. That's what you listened to, the Morning Stiffy. It was funny every day. I don't know how you're funny every day, but they did it every day. And then they just said, well, we had a great time and we loved hanging out with all you people. And then they just didn't have jobs anymore. And I was like, economic realities suck, man. They really suck. Show the kids a cassette and a felt tip pen and they will not get the connection. Yeah. Yeah. Related. Speaking of, my younger, when we moved from our little tiny house, we lived in a 420 square foot house. When we moved from that house to the house that we're in now, which is a whopper at like 1,100, we were moving stuff out, and the kid opened. So this is 2007. So my youngest was about 3 at the time, and we're loading up boxes, and the kid reaches into a box and pulls out a TDK blank video cassette, and they held it up to me as if to say, "What is this?" And I said, "That's what movies used to come on." And they looked at me with such a look of, "Father, how dare you lie to me and feed me such mistruths? That's not where movies come from. Movies are on discs."
Oh, really?
And I go, "No, the discs used to be where music came from after music was on little tapes." And the kid looked at me as if I was speaking a foreign language that they had never heard before.
That's the wife's family.
And I realized, well, that's it. But at least my kids are at least of the age that they remember music coming on compact discs. The current generation won't even remember that. I am just working on a build with these axles, and the hexes are very tight. Did I just get unlucky? No, you did not. No, you did not. If you're talking about these in particular, I doubt I'll even be able to get the wheel on the hex. No, they're all like this. They're like every one of them I've ever bought has been like this. They are just that tink was the pin hitting the bench somewhere there it is. As the hex pulled out. Yeah, they're stupid tight. The easiest way, if you don't want to go out and buy brass hexes, and I can understand, we already spent money. Why do we want to spend more money? If you don't want to go out and spend more money, just get yourself, I tend to use 400 grit. Get a piece of 400 grit, set it on your bench, and just then rotate it. Basically, just take this black, I assumed it was anodization, but apparently it's thicker because anodization is supposed to be like micrometers thick. So you just sand them off a little until they fit nicely in your hub, and then you're good to go. Good to go. I've had to do it a couple times. They're all like that. But, and also, they are clamping. So if you want, or they have a set screw. So if you want to know how tight they are in a hex, if you can pull it out past the set screw, it's probably too tight. Axial plastic hexes aren't even the ones that anger me the most. The axials that anger me the most are the metal ones that like come on a Capra, the ones that are wafer thin and designed clearly to be used with a plastic wheel. And then if you go to install any other wheel, the hex is so shallow that it goes all the way down inside your hub, and then the end of your hub rubs on your axle housing. And you're like, what is binding? Axial. How do I remove the stuck wheels? You give it the shimmy. And if the hex is stuck in the wheel, you just need something that will fit through the hole in your SLW like that. Because the hole inside the hex is only 5 millimeter, and then you just drop it down there and you go, boop, and you just pop it out. Mr. Wilson, to my knowledge, anodization, you are speaking of anodization on materials like titanium, in which, yes, the amount of current and the amount of time that it is exposed to the current actually changes the color of the outside surface of the metal. But with aluminum, they have to use a colorant. They use a dye to dye the aluminum to that color. Because inside of aluminum exists no color save for white. It's the only color that lives inside of aluminum. So these chassis, and we are just going to put a select few screws in the front of this, because as we're doing the servo and axle, we're going to find out how much of this. I'm going to do servo and axle, but for ease of purpose, we are not going to cut, we're not going to run battery. We're not doing battery on servo and axle. We're going to run the battery on the side. This chassis is going to be a no pinch. There might be what? I've lost all my tools. So the middle of the chassis is going to come out to 74, just under 75. And at the front, we're like 73, just under 74. So the center of this is about a millimeter. And if you don't think I'm seeing it, I see it. That ledge coming up. Oh man. Yeah, we are gonna have, look at how low that sits. Do those holes line up? Not even close. Oh yeah. This gearbox sits so low that the motor is hitting, the motor comes down below the level of the gearbox and is striking this link severely. So yeah, we're going to put that in last. Most likely what is going to happen is either a piece of Delrin or a piece of aluminum to space this up, probably 10 millimeters. Because I know we all love an LCG gearbox, right? But it's so low that the motor is below the level of the skid. It is also not tremendously fun to get this thing in. There's a screw. There's a screw that goes in right there. And I didn't put it in because I got my gear mesh perfectly set. And I didn't want to take it all off again just to get that last screw in. So we're going to run it. We're going to run it wild, loose, and fancy free and see how that shakes out for us. I must have missed a question. What ring and pinion options are there for the Mias axles? And do the metal HG44 clone Mias use the same? Yeah, they're AR44 gears. Anything AR44, AR45, Vanquish F10s, they all use the same gears. You can get the AMK ones on Amazon. You can get them super cheap, like $20 for a pair. And you will need shims. You will need 7mm shims. CRC, Calandra Racing Concepts, makes 0.5 millimeter thick 7mm shims. No, 0.1 millimeter thick 7mm shims. And you can get a 20 pack for like $7. If you don't want a shim, you can buy a Vanquish ring and pinion. They're $50 and I've never had to shim one. But I would rather have a $10 ring and pinion and just throw some shims on it. But yeah, any AR44 gear will fit. Pooping in the woods is amazing. So someone noticed that there is a Reedy Crawler 550 going on here. I really want to know. I've never gotten them to go back to back. So one will be built with the 550 attached, and the other one is going to be built with the 540 attached. We're going to have an episode that is basically the very equivalent of a weekly dumb because, oh, you guys haven't seen it. It's been a couple weeks since we whipped it out. Wait a minute while I whip this out. This is what you have wrought. This is you, the 404s, the Canyon Arrows. This is what you have sent. Look at them all. Look at the glory of them all. So we have so many things. It's all Reedy, which means it's pooping in the woods. We've got the 540, the 550. We've got the SC480X. We've got, if I can grab one, am I going to find one? It's nothing but 480Xs. Somewhere in this box, okay, that's a 480. There's SC400s in here. There's an SC400. We've got the 400, the 480, and in this box is an SC500. So we've got the different motors. We've got the 3 different ESCs, and it is my estimation that they are all, again, technical terminology, poo-poo caca. But we don't know till we know. Like the 480 has now already, you want to talk about some, do y'all remember the cassette tape and how short of a time you could buy cassette tapes? Like we had records, and then there was cassette tapes for like 4 hours, and then they were like compact discs of the thing now. That's how Reedy treats electronics.
Reed's right by the 8-track.
The 8-track is insane. I watched a video where a guy made a clear 8-track tape to show how it worked on the inside. Doesn't clear it up.
No.
You're still like, that doesn't make any sense. Reel-to-reel is still a thing. The real nerds, you got record nerds,
Yeah.
you've got tape nerds.
So technically, isn't that just an open cassette deck?
Yeah, reel-to-reel is just a gigantic cassette tape. But the tape is like this big, so it's like how you can get a better picture out of a real camera than you can out of a cell phone. Cassette tapes like that big, they're cramming more music in. You have less dynamic range. That's what they call it. Fidelity. Can you hear it on your cheap headphones, on your cheap system? No. If you got some Bayer Dynamic $600 headphones, yeah. Sounds amazing. All flavors of poop. Oh, hey. Did somebody say Hugo? Oh yeah, HVTO3 has shown up. Hey, we're building one of these gents. We're building Tomax and or Zaymont. Hold on. I need to reset for a second to yell about A-Main for a second. A-Main, when you place your order at A-Main, they say, oh yeah, we'll have that to you at this time. And then, in their infinite wisdom, they go, haha, JK, we're shipping it from the other side of the country instead. And you ordered a can of spray paint, so we can only ship it by ground. You'll see that in a week and a half. So that order was supposed to be here already. And now it says expected delivery May 6th. So it has the can of blue and the can of red for these guys. The red one will be getting blue. The blue one will be getting these red wheels, and the red one will be getting these blue wheels because blue, red, silver. It's thematic. It's thematic. And they will be outfitted identically in every way. Every part that I fit or every adjustment that I make will just be done twice because madness. Madness is to be embraced. And look at those are going to be some slender boys. And why I am going to have to go back and see, these are clearly not designed for this. These holes don't line up. So I can't use the skid as intended. None of the holes will line up. So I'm probably just going to take the Dremel and just make a big notch in this so that it will clear the hole so that I can get the link screws in and out. I want to have these installed because if memory serves, the big flat VS410 sliders will fit. So he's right here. They're both getting 78 Chevy K10s because A, pre-trimmed, and B, I like the look and shape of this one. It came Jester. It came from the Workbench 22. Was this? We've muddied things up so much with the whole what we're doing now. A Bobcat is a red lynx. We just learned a thing. We didn't mean to learn a thing, but we just learned it. Where was I going? I got completely thrown by Bobcat as a red lynx. Oh, I have no idea what it came from the Workbench series we would even be on. We didn't count Lord Pentaby first of his name, and he's basically done because he had to get built and put to work. And he already did his first tire test, and he's got 2 more coming up. These guys are kind of the same thing. And we're not in the way I estimate things, which is badly. How does the meme go? I took a calculated risk, but boy, am I bad at math. In my estimation, this isn't a build. We're just slapping pieces together. I might have to fabricate a little thing here and there to get something to work. But the goal is to make these guys serviceable and usable. And the first test that they'll actually be doing is testing out that very obnoxious to mount gearbox. I was hoping that it would be less of an uphill climb and less of a struggle than the fake too low, which is frankly annoying to use. Something is not cooperating. This is not cooperating. There it goes. We've forced it to cooperate. Can you elaborate on your distaste for Proline? There was a gentleman that was here earlier. He was driving a sick Rock Pirates Capra conversion that he had made. It was sick. I should have taken a picture of it. It was sick. Can I put enough sibilance on sick for you to know how sick it was? And yeah, that body, man. He did his body with the candy color, translucent, but then didn't back it. So you could see inside of it. Oh, it was kind of dope. And we were talking about how he'll never buy another Proline tire. And I was like, oh, buddy, you're talking to the right guy. And he was like, I have a set. He goes, there were crawlers on his vehicle with a K. And he goes, I bought those in 2019 when they were $24.99 a pair. And now they're $33. So in 5 years, they've gone up in cost 33%. It's the exact same tire. There's nothing different about the tire now. My distaste for Proline springs back ooh, 17 years now. 16, 17 years now is what we got to be looking at. Back in the Slash days. So around the time the Slash came out, we were buying a lot of the ProTrack stuff. We tried Power Stroke shocks. We tried their wide offset wheels. We were buying a bunch of Proline bodies. I could not tell you with any degree of certainty how many Proline bodies we saw die on their birthday. Freshly painted, put it on a vehicle, take it to the track, clip the corner of a pipe, and literally rip the front of the body, the hood, across the fender to the door, and the part of the body just falls off. I have famously in the past shown that Stampede body, the old classic pickup body for a Stampede, that mislanded a jump one time. It landed upside down like that, like a backbreaker pose, and split that body all the way around the B pillar, just broke it in half. One bad landing. Now, in some small defense of Proline, the bodies that I've seen of them recently, the Raptor body, the 2017 Raptor, and that Beetle, which aside from the Beetle not being the correct dimensions by any sense of measure, they are really tough, and they are consistently molded, and they definitely look like an improvement over the Proline bodies of yore. But the Proline Power Stroke shocks, which were going for about $50 a pair back in the day, they leaked worse than any axial shock you've ever seen. I had a set of Power Strokes that I worked on and literally could not get them to stop leaking. They leaked severely. And because Proline wanted them to be special and unique and special, they used dual rate springs that were proprietary. Only their size spring fit. No one else's spring would fit around the enlarged shock body. They used bigger shock shafts, so no one else's seals would fit around the shafts. We ended up taking the shocks, completely cleaning them, like clean them with parts cleaner, got everything back to new, repackaged them in the fancy blow molded packaging and sleeve that they were put in, and we sold them on eBay for what we paid for them. The final stroke with me, you brought this on yourselves. You asked about Proline. The final stroke for Proline was ProTrack arms. They made a kit that improved the handling of the Traxxas Slash, the two-wheel drive Slash, by lengthening the A-arms and then putting a more positive offset wheel. So you had a longer A-arm and then it tucked the tires in more, kind of like what people do to Capras today. And it genuinely did improve the handling, and it came with new shock towers as well. The shock towers were not fragile. You had to add more letters. They were frangible. Frangible is something which has a tendency to blow apart into pieces. And that is what the shock towers were. They would break if you looked at them sideways. If you looked at your vehicle just at the right angle, or God forbid, landed it upside down, they would blow up. So, we learned to get around that. We would just run RPM towers that we had modified. We would put little tabs on the end of the RPM tower to give it the same geometry as the ProTrack tower. And then they work just fine. So we're still running the ProTrack arms because that's the only way to get the arms of that length. And I had an arm that took it out back when it was all a track and it wasn't a crawler course, clipped a pipe, and the A-arm just snapped off. And I was like, well, you know, those arms have been on there a little while. Maybe it's a thing. Come inside, take the pins out, put a new arm on it, pin it back on, take it out there, drive it. Don't get halfway around a lap, that same A-arm breaks. Just snaps right off. But this time, both tabs, so the whole corner was flopping around. And I go, well, that's odd. I go over there and I pick up the truck, and I get the A-arm. So I'm looking at the A-arm down from the end like this. And in the injection molding, this is all injection molded, just like their stuff is injection molded. It was just filled with little micro bubbles, like holes. Like, what's that candy? What's that candy y'all eat over there in Europe? It's like chocolate, but it's mostly air. So you feel like you're getting robbed because you're buying air and chocolate. It's like aerated chocolate. That A-arm looked like aerated chocolate. So I was like, hey, Proline, send them some pictures. They are 25 minutes from where I live. That's how far away Proline is? Oh. I sent them some pictures and emailed them and like, these are definitely, there's like a manufacturer error here. These were mismolded. And Proline was like, yeah, they might have been. If you send those back to us, we'll send you replacements. And that's a little small red flag that pops up. A little tiny red flag because you're like, you can see from the picture that they're full of air holes and they're busted. But if you want them back, that's fine. So I mail them back. Arrow, it's called an arrow bar. Makes sense. So I mail them back to them, and I hear nothing. Absolutely nothing. About a week later, I email them again, and I'm like, the A-arms? And they're like, oh, yeah. We're taking care of it. Don't worry about it. Fast forward about 2 weeks later, I email them again, and I'm like, A-arms? Like, is anything happening on that? You guys are 25 minutes from my house. Do I need to come and pick them up? They go, no. It's already taken care of. We warrantied them, and you'll be getting new A-arms. And I go, great. Fast forward now, again, about 2 more weeks. I haven't gotten anything. And I email him, and the guy's like, look, we're taking care of it. Don't ask about it anymore. We're taking care of it. And I'm like, okay. Are you familiar with what do they call it? The packaging, where the packaging hangs. So imagine there's a stapled thing. Okay, I got one right here. So they do this type of packaging, tab packaging, dangle packaging, like this, right? This is how the A-arms would come. But up at the top here, it would say ProLine ProTrack front arms, and there would be 2 front arms in it. So we're now forward about 5 or 6 weeks from when I broke them. And I've replaced them already. I just bought more. But I'm waiting to get the new ones. And I had the left arms that are broken. And I open up the box, and inside the box is this, but it says ProLine ProTrack. And it has been cut right here. And they've taken the right arms out and just gave me 2 left arms. And I was like, I literally went, okay, yeah, I did only break that side, but wow. They are $9.99 a pair. And I get an email without prompting from ProLine saying, we got a notification that your arms were delivered. We therefore consider this matter closed. And if you have any issues with these arms in the future, basically, and I paraphrase, caveat emptor. If anything happens, that's on you. So they basically told me, if you don't want to break our A-arms, don't buy them. To which I said, you got it, baby! And I haven't bought a ProLine product since. It took 6 weeks to get 2 plastic A-arms. And you basically, the guy didn't say it in words, but he basically said, this is your fault. And no one's asked it, but I'll fill in the blank for you. If you want to know why I don't buy products from a certain crawler-related company, let me put it this way. The customer service interaction I had with them was worse. If you can believe that, was worse. So there's a certain brand that I don't buy. If you want to buy it, that's fine. That's fine. I'm not going to disparage their products. I am going to say that they should look a little more in-depth at their in-house hiring processes, because the treatment that I got was less than stellar. Have I spotted the Mias 2.2 crawler tire? No? What? Link, please. No, I have not. I know there are folks that are not as hot on Mias as apparently I am, but I've yet to break apart on a Mias axle.
Those axles are pretty good.
And this, like I said, I think this is my 4th or 5th set. And on Amazon, you can buy a bag that has all of the metal internals except ring and pinions for $15. So universals, stubs, outputs, all the portal gears, everything for $15. You can replace all the metals for $15. And they use regular AR44 gears, so you can put underdrive and overdrive in them for $20. Or you can hook them up to this gearbox that has 18% underdrive, and then you're done. 18% in a pair of these, that's a $30 gearbox and $80 axles. They're my go-to for portals now, because Vanquish sure ain't getting any cheaper. And Anna, let me tell you, I am forgiving of customer service to a degree, right? Because if I have, God forbid, may God have mercy on your soul, if you have a problem with your Verizon cell phone service and you have to contact Verizon, or if you bank with Bank of America and you have to contact them, they have, how many subscribers is a Verizon supposed to? 80 million? Something like that? They have say it's 80 million. They have 80 million subscribers. So when you call customer service, you literally don't mean anything to them. If they're nice to you at all, you consider this a good experience in customer service. Companies like Proline that run out of a building up in Banning, California, Beaumont, they're up in a crappy place where it's windy all the time. They might have a dozen employees. Just get a good customer service guy. You don't need that many. You don't need that. How many people are calling Proline customer support on a given day? 2? 1? None? How many can it be? So when you get bad customer service from a small company or somebody who's specifically dealing in crawlers, you're like, gah. Isn't that gearbox geared more for straight axles? It is supposedly 366 internal, which is about 40% more reduction than a typical 3-gear, but it has a 44-tooth pinion, and a 44-tooth spur, and I'm running a 15-tooth pinion. So that's about 3-to-1. So we're looking at about, doing math, about 11-to-1. And then when we get to the axles, we're at 3.75. So we're going to be in that mid 40-to-1. Plus the portal reduction. It's going to be a little pokey. It would be too pokey for like a 1200. And an 1800 would be a little on the slow side. But with a setup like this, you can get away with running hotter stuff. Like a 21 turn would probably be sweet on this. And more gear reduction is always better than not enough, because there's no real cure for not enough. You can only KV down so far. And if we've learned this anywhere, it's from our good man Rusty, who is a blast to drive. But if you take a TRX4 gearbox and put straight axles on it, baby, you have no gear reduction. He runs a 760 kV motor, and you've still seen how fast he is. He's absurdly fast on the 760. So the ability to run something like a 2000, 2200 on here and still have the speed be manageable would be... Ooh, they're moving. Doing my first 1/10 build, starting with MES HD44s and a Fusion 1200. Awesome. Considering the Amazon $30 dig trans, I now have, I think, 3 of those. And in total, including the QT that predated that, I have 6. So those Amazon dig gearboxes are great. I do recommend taking them apart, re-greasing them, and then in most cases, throwing all of the screws away and replacing the screws, because they use non-graded poo-poo caca hardware. Just throw some new screws in it. Like, they'll last. They'll be fine, but if you're going to take that gearbox apart at any point, those screws will probably strip out on you. Mia's front axle, one of my new carburetors. Yeah. Mia's front. Traxxas sells little bags of M3x30s, and they're really cheap. That part number I can't recall off the top of my head. But the guy that's sitting over here being a wiseacre is harassing me about what screws do you order. Well, I don't. I have a whole thing of screws here. I go to McMaster Car Industrial and I order giant bags of screws. Mia's okay. They have a design engineering opening right now if you want to make stuff. I'm sure. Oh, wait. He has to be talking to somebody else. Straight axles. What did you say what crawler company was a worse experience than Proline? There we go. That got answered. The Element Stealth gearbox is what I want with the Amazon 1/10. It's a perfect pick. The Element Stealth gearbox is a fantastic gearbox. Like, it really is. Because this does the same thing, 18% underdrive inside the box. But this, we don't even have it near being in the vehicle yet, and it's already a pain right in the tuchus. Whereas a Stealth goes Has the same bolt pattern as any other 3 gear. Anything new about the tire sheet? On Monday, I'll work on it. If there was something I was supposed to do, I haven't done it. Why would you want anything less than all the power? All the power. Is the gearing on the Amazon Dig okay with straight axles? Yeah, its gears inside are basically, you can take the gears out of an axial, minus the bottom one, which is Dig specific, but the idler gear and the top shaft, you can take them right out of an axial gearbox and stick them in the Amazon Dig box. The Amazon Dig box is a pretty much straight clone of the Vanquish 3 gear with Hertz Dig. You can take the Hertz Dig and put it on the Amazon gearbox. It'll slide right on. And that Hertz Dig costs $90, and the Amazon Dig box costs $30. So that's the one I got. Yeah, 2.6 to 1 on all the axial Type 3 gear transmissions. Yeah, I think a Stealth is 2.4 to 1. I might be remembering wrong though, but they're all around that 2.6. So this does indeed have more reduction. They say 3.66 internal, but it maxes, it minis out at a 9-tooth pinion, and I don't even know how you would get that to fit. Like, I mean, look at the clearances. That shaft is, this thing was clearly designed to be running like a 380 Outrunner. I think it's the problem, but we're going to make it work. We're going to make this thing do the things, whether it wants to do the things or not. I don't have any, I have no time nor tolerance for objects that want to be treated in a specific way. You will do the things. And we're just going to slapdash this together. There's no chance this is going to get finished. There's no chance. There's no chance. We are not getting to even a slider today because I'm going to have to make adapters to get that gearbox on. And I'm really questioning where I put my shock plier. But we can figure out what the wheelbase. The Hertz Dig slider is kind of sloppy on the Amazon Dig box. It's possible. It's possible. I like a nice Delrin. I like a nice flat Delrin skid. I've made them in the past. I will go off the shelf whenever possible due to laziness. But like I said, when I was putting, what was I putting together and it was not going well? I know that's an open-ended question. It was Argenum. I was swapping something over on Argenum, and I said, I was like, everything bad that's happening right now is my fault. Because I've changed this and this and this and this and this, and I'm asking this aftermarket part to last with this aftermarket to this aftermarket, and that's not the way it is. Like, Vanquish makes their parts to work with Vanquish, and Traxxas makes it to work with Traxxas. And anytime we hybridize anything, we're doing what we want and asking for trouble at the same time. Do you have a mental score for junk views? But that can wait as long as you want to. Okay. Here's the thing with most of the junk view scores. I think it's the Tiger Dog. The Tiger Dog is really the only one that is like reasonable. Like, so far of tires that are still over on the junk view side, I don't think I would buy any of them other than the Tiger Dogs. I still want to try the other Tiger Dogs. Those were the Tiger Dog Honors, and there's a couple other Tiger Dogs. I can't remember what they're called. Hello, new to the channel, new to crawling. What truck would you recommend for the beginner? I have TRX4Ms, but ready for 10th scale. Just feel overwhelmed. Don't know what I don't know. It's fair. What truck would I... Okay, so I've been chastised locally. He's sitting right over here laughing at me about always pushing kit on the new people. And I get it. And well, now that all the kits are gone, I don't have to do it so much anymore. So Dustin, let me ask you, what is the budget that you are comfortable with? And you already have an 18th, so you know that, like, the budget for the truck is going to be different than the all-in budget, because we're going to suggest an RTR to you, but that RTR is going to have certain elements that are going to have to be replaced. Like, if it's an element, it's going to come with the worst speed control in the world, and tires that are only sort of okay, which is why they're still out of stock. But like, the TRX4 Sport is one that still leads up near the top because excellent. Oh, Dustin Woodham just said $1,000. Just get a Phoenix. If you have $1,000 budget, you buy a Phoenix RTR and you change out, you put a Fusion in it, Fusion Pro. The tires of your choice, I tend to go with Tusks, J Concepts Tusks. And then you go like this. And then you go. You throw some servos in it. That radio is actually perfectly acceptable. And you can probably find another one of those steering servos for like $5. Put those in place for dig and overdrive, and then just buy yourself a decent steering servo. Fusion Pro puts all that weight down low, and then you will live it and love it. Yes, Vanquish Phoenix. You can do the RTR if you're okay with building a kit. The kits are supposed to be available. You can build the kit. I would not, but I would definitely warn to say I don't recommend that people going in on their first build a VFD twin, which is the gearbox that's in a Phoenix. It's a lunatic of a gearbox. It's like building a clock. It is up there in complexity with building the Tamiyas of the 80s and 90s. But yeah, the Phoenix, in terms of capability out of the box, and not just capability, we're not just talking about capability, we're talking about versatility. It will trail, it will rock crawl, it will look awesome. You can go on Amazon and buy little stupid kitschy crap that you don't need, like halo headlights. You can get a kick-ass light bar. You can get, we're not huge on RC4-wheel drive accessories, but you can get a kick-ass light bar for the roof. You can get the Toyota grill for the front. Like, the option, you can get a bed on the back that's like $170 from CC Hand that turns it into a total ute with the headache rack and everything. You can put a Zoku chassis under. You can do anything you want with a Phoenix. And if you've got a $1,000 budget, I don't see anything other than a Phoenix. Vanquish has a new webpage. Oh no. Did they revamp?
You could buy a nice one of those off Facebook Marketplace already built for $500-$600.
It's true. The Phoenix is a yeah, not the Ford Ice, not the Ford Ice. The price, what are they, $20 difference?
Yeah,
they're $20 difference between a Ford Ice and a Phoenix. The VFD twin alone is $50 more than a VFD. So if just in that one item, the Phoenix is already $50 better. Or you hire a pro builder and get the exact thing he's talking about with the extras already installed for the $1,000. Shh. We're going to get too popular. I had to build another garage, people. And more course. I'm just happy to see another Phoenix out there. I've never heard anyone, honestly, I've never heard anyone get a Phoenix and be unhappy about it. I rebuilt my VFD twin with machine gears lighter motor, only having built a Tamiya Sand Scorcher. Well, there you go. If you built a Tamiya Sand Scorcher, you were ready. My brain always goes back to the DF03 RA rally car, which had, I might be wrong, there might be 28 bearings inside the gearbox alone. I think that vehicle total had 44 bearings in it. But, and mind you, that was a Tamiya from like the late 90s, early 2000s. It came with 0 bearings. You had to buy bearing kits to put bearings in it. Phoenix over VRD Carbon? Yeah, I would absolutely say so. The VRD Carbon is definitely aimed more at pure rock crawling / comping. 38% underdrive in that thing. Or, I'm sorry, 38% overdrive. The rear axle's not spinning slower, the front axle's spinning faster. It is definitely more of a purpose-built thing, whereas the Phoenix can be made into whatever you want to make it into. It's a better place to start. If you already have a bunch of all-rounders, this is his first thing. If you already have a bunch of all-rounders, yeah, Bouncing Noise just said it, for comps the VRD. Yeah, in a comp, the VRD is going to beat it. Yep. Phoenix over the new Zool that comes with IFS2? 100%. 100%. Not even close. Not even close. If you want an IFS2 Zool, you can make one. You can literally make one for fairly inexpensively and not have to deal with all the element stuff in the middle. You need element chassis. I'll send you some element chassis rails. You need rails and an IFS2, which costs $100. And you gotta, and I can get you a reedy crawler in there too. Tamiya still using bushings is inexcusable. I'm pretty sure that Tamiya still has vehicles that come with plastic bushings, not even bronze oil ones. Those white plastic bushings. Leadfoot FPV, got to go to bed. Sun is racing 1/10 rally tomorrow. That sounds like fun. Then the Vanquish RTRs all have a good manual. I did not know that. There will be, unless they've made updates, there's at least 1 or 2 mistakes in the Vanquish build manuals that just like omit a step, and there's just all of a sudden a part is installed, and you're like, how did that get there? But they do have a very good manual. Yeah, looking for an all-round, no comm center near me in South End. You will love your Phoenix. Because, and here's the biggest part about why the Phoenix is so good. The body is really good looking, but they come on F10 axles, and F10 axles are fantastic axles that will likely give you no problems ever. TTO2s still have plastic bushings. There it is. Trying to get this. There we go. I realize I'm not. Yeah, my only disappointment with Vanquish is the shocks. You can do the same thing with S8Es that we do with putting tracks of seals in them to get them to stop leaking. Or you can, here he is, still over here. So if we've got S8Es, what do we do, everybody? We run them upside down. If you run them upside down, they leak out a lot more slowly. I think, oh, they have started to leak though. Like, look at the amount of movement we can get there. There's no damping control right there. Little bit right there. No damping control right there. It's like, it's got the jitters. Rears still feel pretty good. So this one needs rebuilt. There's got to be almost no oil left in that. Or as Driver 8 just said, replace them with GTS, replace them with big bores, replace them with Desert Lizards. The buddy of mine who's building a Phoenix right now, his first Phoenix, he sold the S8Es on Facebook Marketplace before he had even finished putting the rig together. I don't mind. I order TRA 2362 by the batch, and I just rebuild shocks to make them work. We've had so many Phoenix come through here, and the people who haven't them built have their shocks replaced immediately, that I got a lot of S8Es laying around, and we tend to build a lot of rigs. This guy is, of course, getting the he's getting the Amazonians, but I haven't rebuilt him yet. And to anyone who's bought the RC Boys or the AliExpress fake Dravtex, my set are indeed the 7mm rattle around pistons in there, which is what you get. But they all have to be replaced anyway, so it really doesn't matter. Hex screws are a hop up in Tamiya's eyes. Rudy, you are absolutely right. They consider the ability to use a hex driver. We've upgraded it. It doesn't have Phillips on it anymore. Yeah, Tamiya barely acknowledges that bearings exist. They will ship everything with a bushing in it. And they will consider it a gift if they put a bronze oil in there.
You're welcome.
Yeah, exactly. You're welcome. We did that for you. You know what? I'm probably just going to have to cut the center of this out right here just to get the servo to clear. Probably just... We've got this little line right here, this little decorative line. I'll probably just cut all of that out and then just leave all the outside edge in there. I got to cut these tabs, the tabs for the VFD. I have to cut those off too. So yeah, I knew to a degree what I was getting into when I started in this. Where was it?
Yes.
I've never had mine leak. They're leaking because they're empty. My fake drafts had 3 7mm and 1 10mm. I love it. I love it. There is no quality control performed on those at all. Eric Rombo is headed off to bed. Good night, Eric. We will see you. We will see you again soon. 12-8.
You didn't go in and fix those?
Huh?
Those are straight out of the box. You didn't have to go in and fix any internal.
Usually what I'll end up doing is I'll pull the covers. The gentleman here is asking, do I have to do anything to these before I install them? I'll pull the covers off. I'll just do the screws there, and I'll just goop a bunch of grease in there and then put them back together. But there's nothing else that really need to be done. I haven't had to shim the gears or anything. And with the 18% box, I'm not worried about it should be fine. It's going to be fine. I've got to dig through. I've got to find the, we have to go through there's probably a better way to do this other than a sort of like all my spacers live in this little thing. So I picked through them with tweezers like a little monkey. Speaking of screws, where do you get your hardware from? Primarily, McMaster Industrial. They're right down here in the LA area. And there are pluses and minuses. Other than that, if you just need to get some hardware, right? You just need some general screws and nuts and whatnot. Go to Jenny's RC, which has been mentioned up in here in the chat before. Go to Jenny's and go to any of the TRX4s, and if you scroll through there, they'll have all of the screws and nuts and bolts that came out of a TRX4 when they disassembled it. Traxxas uses graded hardware. So they use the same stuff that's in this bin. This is all graded hardware, and you're like 12.9 metric. So it doesn't strip out. And you can get them from them, and you can get all of the nuts, bolts, and screws that hold an entire TRX4 together for like $5, $6, $7. And I buy a couple of them.
So those kits on Amazon, the screw kits, the whole
I've bought some in the past.
I've got
The stainless quality is real iffy.
black ones, but they're good.
If they're graded, as long as they're graded. If there's something on the head, tends to mean they're graded. Traxxas is great. Any experience with trail axles? Just one. Doing pretty good. It's 5:30 and I haven't sent us onto a tangent. Another guy sent me onto a tangent. Benedict Harry Brass any good? When you say Benedict Harry Brass, do you mean like knuckle weights, portal weights, stuff like that? If so, yeah. For TRX4, they're kind of my go-to because they tend to be the cheapest. How often do you forget to vent a tire when building wheels, or is it just me? I've done it enough to where it only happens very rarely. It does still happen every once in a while because when I'm doing the tires, they tend to be stacked up, right, like this. And I'll just be like, oh, I vented all three. And then I get to one, or worse, I'm out on the rock driving it. And I'm like, okay, that passenger rear is acting weird. And I go over and I squeeze it and I go, oh, great. Well, I forgot to put a hole in it. Peter has come in to say, Red Cat Fusion, best budget RTR hands down. Well, let's go into the false economy of Red Cat here for a second. $399.99 gets you a brushless motor and a fairly decent servo. So they're good on the electronics front. But that radio is no one's friend. It's not a friend to anyone. The tires are terrible. They're objectively terrible. And it is still, despite all the bling and all the shine, it is fitted with Red Cat Gen 9 axles, which are objectively some of the worst axles in the entire world. They are the hands down worst part of the Red Cat Ascent. And once you replace those axles, you are fitted with a vehicle that is superior to where it was before, but still inferior to all others, because the geometry in it is bad to the point of being incorrectable. So, the front upper link is on the wrong side to allow clearance for the motor. This is not a thing that we generally do. We do not play dice with the geometry. I can guess at the geometry of a vehicle and get it pretty much right. Red Cat went out of their way to get that wrong. They got it real wrong. So the $399 looks very attractive because that body is shiny, baby. And those chassis rails are shiny, baby. And all of it is shiny. But the geometry is terrible and the axles are god-awful. And your upgrade path begins and ends with Red Cat. Nobody's making aftermarket parts for Red Cat vehicles, and they're not making them for a reason. Because there's no point in making aftermarket parts for them. You can hop them up with other Red Cat parts, and if you'd bought an original Ascent, you had to do that. And then Red Cat was like, hey, screw all of you guys. Here's one that has all the work you did for 6 months for $100 more. So if I was a Red Cat Ascent owner, I'd be upset about the Ascent Fusion. It gave me a marginally better vehicle for less money that I spent trying to make my less than good vehicle marginally better. It's not a good place to start. I've linked to it before. I have a wish list on Amazon that you can go through. It's called the Non-Ascent. And for about $500, you can build a vehicle that is superior to the Red Cat Ascent in every way, down to having dig and competent electronics and an RC4 GS and good tires and silicone inserts and all of the things, needing no upgrades, and it'll be about $500. A Red Cat Ascent an Ascent Fusion is not $399. It's about $550 because there's some stuff that you're going to have to change. And then after you change those things, you still have Gen 9 axles under it. And the only way to correct that, you could have bought some Mias axles for $80. And then if you put those under your Red Cat Ascent, there are plenty of people that would argue that it's not a Red Cat Ascent anymore. Because you can buy these axles and you can buy a forward motor mount and a 30% T case, a Creeper T, the knockoff Creeper Ts on Amazon for $40. And for $120 and a $50 carbon fiber chassis, you've already gotten better than a Red Cat Ascent. But you have to put it together. And I understand to some people that is daunting. So they're lured in by how shiny a Red Cat Ascent Fusion is. But all that glitters is not gold. What about Injora hardware boxes? I've never bought one. I might have to look that up and try it, though, because I've used so many... Okay. Who in chat has bought Injora scale hardware before? Because it's the cheapest. You want to put scale hardware on your beadlock wheels? I have bought so many bags of Injora scale hardware that every time you buy Injora scale hardware, you get one of these little tools. This is the little tool for the bigger ones, for like putting your hubs on. I have bought so many bags. I have about 3 times that many. I probably have 50. I've probably bought 50 bags of Injora scale hardware. And I've never had a problem with the scale hardware. And I do everything, as you all know. So I've never sheared any of their scale hardware off. I don't know about their regular alloy stuff. I don't know. Because if I'm going to order hardware to put, well, okay, you've seen that bin? I've put so much scale hardware into beadlocks that this is just these are all 2 millimeter. This is 3 millimeter, 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, and these are still sealed in the bags. It's starting to get heavy. JC NorCal just got the last TRX4 hardware bag from Jenny's. Yeah, Jenny's has been real dry lately, and that's because they're doing a whole end-of-line thing over at Traxxas. Like you can't get Defenders right now. The Sports are currently unavailable. Well, they might be back in stock now. A-Main didn't have them for a couple of months, though. Putting together the parts is the best thing in this hobby. I have to agree with that. Exo just hit 1 year of being fully retired because of his YouTube, so I think that explains it. Yeah. If your ability to not clock in every morning is reliant on how you feel about certain things, then you start to feel a different way about certain things. I'm not explicitly reliant. I'm here for the ride. We're here for a good time, but I'm not gonna. Speaking of EXO, the 575, the test that he did. Remember when he all got lit up for doing the stance versus the fusion, but the Fusion had megalithics on it. So then he converted them the other way. So he put both but they were all modded at that point. They had like Reef's raw brass $200 servos and stuff in them. And this is going to somehow make it better. How hard is it to run a stock vehicle against a stock vehicle? Uh-oh. Some random dude in a shed's building two identical vehicles so that when he compares something like a tire, like somebody says, can you show me how Deep Woods does against a Canyon Trail? Yeah, absolutely. We'll put Deep Woods on him and Canyon Trails on him, and we'll run them side by side. And you will know exactly how one does against the other because the vehicles will be identical. So when he redid that test, they were all modded out, and the stance was so clearly better than everything that the Fusion did. Like, it was obviously better. But the narrative, and ugh, that is a distasteful word. I don't like when people say the narrative. The words coming out of his mouth were like, this thing is awesome. And some of you may or may not recall, I am no great fan of the stance. Yep. Anna, if you're going to test two different RTRs, they need to have the exact same tires and aftermarket parts. Otherwise, it's lame. Even if it's a different servo, anything, any variable you've introduced, why do you think, look at his wheels and look at the other guy's wheels. They are going to be identical, except one will be red and one will be blue so that I can tell them apart. I'm going to have to make some other sort of mark. Oh, how do I access your list on Amazon? Let me see if I can... Send, and then we go send list to others, and we go view only, and we go copy link, and then we go back here, and then we go bam. There you go. That should take you to, but red is faster than blue. That is technically correct. We're gonna have to figure out some way to handicap the red one. Oh, the red one's gonna have blue wheels, so it should even out, and the blue one's gonna have red wheels. So I think it should. Oh, stripes. That's interesting. Hey, I bow to Vanquish, but even I'll admit the stance is burning money. Yeah. I think some people misinterpreted, or maybe I didn't present the rant clearly enough. I don't dislike the stance. I dislike what Vanquish did when they released it, saying, oh, here's a VRD, but it's an RTR. They never really were very clear as to, oh, hey, we nerfed this thing into the dirt, but it's RTR. We took all the bits and bobs out of it. People were just ranting down the list of, oh, you forgot about also titanium links. You forgot about this. You forgot about that. Yeah, it's $700 worth of parts different between a stance and a VRD in order to get RTR electronics and VXT2s. And if they had just said that, just be clear about what it is. This is the RTR grade VRD. Then it's okay. But they were like, no, it's an RTR VRD. Yeah, see, Rudy has been about this a lot longer than I have. I got into tiny trucks back before the SCX-10 when your choice was a Tamiya Hilux F350 or an RC four-wheel drive Trailfinder 1, or you built it yourself. Yeah, the guys that were like disassembling clodbusters to get the axles out of them, to build crawlers out of them. Yeah, I've recounted that I didn't get into like cycling as a pursuit until after the invention of Shimano's STI, integrated shifting, which is the shifter and the brake lever are the same thing, because I'm not reaching down between my legs to shift gears. So that was that. So crawlers, I enjoy building crawlers and the fabrication of it, but we are truly now living in we're living in a golden era of this, where all the stuff is, we have access to so many good things that we can build crawlers from scratch without touching. If you're not a fan of one brand or another, you don't need to use that brand at all. You can build a TRX-4 without ever setting hands on a Traxxas part. And that's only brought to us now by the giant swinging, cutting us all in half, double-edged sword that is globalization. Because we enjoy it, but then we watch what happens to the rest of the hobby, and you give to get. Oh, hey. A smoothie for Mrs. C. I'll buy her a smoothie, too. She's going to get an Aloha pineapple now, whether she wants it or not. I'll just show up and set it on her desk. She's at work right now. She works from home on Fridays, so. Yeah. I don't know what that was. Ever tried DI2 or other electronic group sets? You know what happened to me with DI? I was this close to what's the SRAM one? Red? I was that close to the SRAM setup, and it was so, when I was getting heavy into it, it was brand new. DI2 had been out for a minute, and the SRAM wireless stuff was brand new. And I go to the local bike shop a lot. I've done construction work for them, stuff, and internal work for that. I've known the dudes at the bike shop for 20 plus years. So I was in the bike shop a lot. And the number of bikes that were coming in with SRAM and Shimano electronic systems just taking the poop. So many warranty returns and warranty services. I was like, you know what? I'm going to stick to cables. So, I mean, I would have. It appeals to my lazy nature. But I just saw too many terrible things. And then we get the Team California kids go to the bike shop that I go to. So they're the ones that come and steal all the KOMs because they're like 15 years old and their functional threshold power is like 400 watts and they weigh 120 pounds. And it's horrible. I hate them all. I don't want them to get hit by cars or anything, but I just don't like them. And they would come in, and the kid comes in, and he's all red in the face. And you're like, fucking happened to this kid? They're like eternal. Like, they have stamina for days because they're like 15 years old. He goes, yeah, I was doing the Sunset Climb, which is a road, a part of the Bicycle Classic goes up what they call the Sunset Loop. He was going up the Sunset Loop, and the battery in his Di2 died, and he couldn't shift. So he was stuck in one gear the whole time. You know what the rest of us do? We take our phone out and we call somebody to come and get us. That kid finished the ride. He rode like 11 miles in one gear. And I know single speeds exist and fixies exist. No, he rode 11 miles in the wrong gear and just did it. So that was the thing. That was when I was like, I don't know about I don't know if I'm ready for electronic shifting. You know, these look like these are pretty dang close. They're not perfect, nor would I expect them to be. We might be able to fit the. What was that bang? We might be able to fit the front on the rear and the rear on the front. We'll see. We're gonna see how the uppers are gonna work out. I'm just tinkering at this point because I've come to an. Do you ever think people that are into build toy car will ever evolve a third arm or hand? God, that would be great. That'd be amazing. What I could do with a third arm. Who doesn't want to be Goro, right? We just want to have the 4 arms. I want to be able to pick something up heavy with the bottom set of arms and then work on it with the top set of arms. Although, have you ever thought about this? If you've sat and thought about what it would be like to have extra arms, how would you put on a shirt? Like, would it all have to be button-ups? You couldn't pull a shirt over with 4 arms, right? How does that work? Do you put the lower set of arms in first? No, the top set of arms has to go in first. It's all button-ups. You could never wear a hoodie. Goro can never wear a hoodie. So if you're ever wondering why he's always shirtless in Mortal Kombat, that's probably what it is. He wouldn't look as tough as he does if he had a button-up polo on. With his 4 beefy arms. I would take 4 arms, though. Just hang around Chernobyl. I don't know. Chernobyl's all full of deer and stuff, and they seem fine. And then at night, all those deer's eyes glow green. You know, you don't need t-shirts when you have 4 arms. I mean, that's technically true. No one is going to tell you, sir, you need to put a shirt on. You go wherever you want, and you do whatever you want if you have 4 arms. And I mean 4, the number 4. We all have 4 arms, I hope. So far as all of you know, I am just hands and forearms. You know, the other 4 arms. Do I exist? That's a problem, though. That's a problem. When you ask yourself, do you really exist? You just disappear. Because if I think, therefore I am, and then I question whether or not I exist, 4 arms maybe would make running 4-wheel steer possible. Yeah. If I had 1 more arm, I'm sure I could 4-wheel steer with confidence. Oh man. As was just pointed out from behind me, imagine filming and driving. You could film and drive so good if you had 2 more arms. Your brain, we would have to, you haven't gone far enough, RC family. You would have to have a different brain. You would have to think in 4 arms. As we stand now with our dumb brains, we can't do the pat our head and rub our stomach half the time. 4 arms? I don't understand how drummers work. You know, there's that show, what was it, like Stan Lee's Superhumans? So far as I'm concerned, everybody who plays the drums is a superhuman. Because they can make their feet and their hands do different things at the same time. And I'm sure you've all been on the internet. You know who El Stepano Siberiano? That guy who does the shorts, he's got the little skull with the mohawk on it, and he played 1 rhythm with 1 hand, and then another with another hand, and then 2 different rhythms with his feet. And I was like, that's not a thing. You can't do that. What he's doing, you can't do. I can't 4-wheel steer a rock crawler. So cephalopods are the ultimate RCers? Probably. Octopus show up down at the local class 1 comp, would drive 2 rigs at the same time and just murder everybody.
Get out the way.
You just get out the way. An octopus can drive 2 4-wheel steer rigs at the same time. And they're super smart. They can get out of a jar. If somebody put me in a giant jar, I don't know if I'd be able to get out of it. That'd be a really big jar. We've seen extremely white legs the other day while you were building. Mr. Redneck, let me tell you something. I don't want to horrify you any more than you probably are, but those are the parts of me that see the sun. The parts of me under my clothes, I don't know if I'm iridescent or pearlescent, but I'm probably both. Like I would glimmer like one of those Twilight vampires. These are of I know several drummers and drumming exercises are insane. Yeah. Mike Cross. Trust me, as a 30-year guitar player, there is nothing super about drummers. They're up there with bass players. What is it with poor bass players? Why do bass players get such a ration? I don't understand. Octopus in a drive-by. No, I wouldn't say the light goes through me. I'm not translucent. The light goes in, diffracts off of like a subsurface layer, and then scatters back out. So it would be like looking at the sun. Like the top of my arm is that color, but the bottom of my arm is that color, like a shark, because that part sees the sun and that part doesn't. Like, I mean, just under my the color under my watch. Yeah, I'm. Oh, HVTO3 is heading to bed. Ty Joe digs my sock choice. My sock choices are made by going to Amazon, searching for socks that are size 13 to 15, and then buying them. And I buy a pack of them, and if they're good, I buy another pack of them before they discontinue them literally directly off of my feet. I was wearing these bamboo socks, which are great because they don't make my feet get hot in the summer. and then they just discontinued them right off my feet. And now I'm wearing, I don't know what, I think they're Sauconys. I think they're Saucony socks. And they're pretty okay. Yeah, they feel like regular socks. But the bamboo doesn't get, like, I can't wear socks that have any % cotton.
Oh.
They will make my feet super, super hot. And I think 7 years of cycling did that to me. Because cycling socks are 100% synthetic and paper thin. Because otherwise your feet will literally boil off the bottoms of your legs. Because you're pressing on your feet for hours on end. Yeah, so I can't wear cotton socks. So these are like 97% polyester, 3%.
Bamboo socks just sound weird.
Yeah, apparently they make a bunch of diabetic socks that are bamboo, but they're even thinner than the cycling socks. It feels like you're putting on pantyhose. And I'm like, I need a sock. Just a non-cotton sock. And I can't go to a store and buy a sock because I have inhuman feet. Okay, new clue. I'm a size 13, so unless you're a hobbit, I know how tall you are. Gares, I am a size 14. I wore size 13 shoes until I was probably like in my late 20s. And then we were at some like discount store, like a Ross or something.
You know they make 14.
And then there was a pair of size 14 shoes in there. And I was like, ha, 14. And I put them on and I went, oh no. Oh no. They make 14s.
Yeah.
We play a game. I play a game. My wife goes to the mall because she needs new athletic tops. So we have to go to the Puma store and the Reebok store and the Nike store and all of them. I go directly to the shoe section and try to find any box that says 14 on it. There isn't a size 14 shoes in the Ontario Mills Mall. Not one. Not a single one. The Adidas store doesn't carry sizes bigger than 12. So, Columbia. I wear a lot of Columbia shoes because rookie numbers, I wear 42s in Euro. I'm going to pull my shoe off and find out what my shoe size is in European. It's worn off. Damn it.
Pull out the ruler.
What's USA 14 in Euro? I don't know. It's big. Yeah, Ty Joe, sometimes I can get away with a 13 wide. But luckily, I pulled one shoe off. Now I get... See what you've done? Now I had to take my shoes off. Ah. Freedom. He doesn't want any evidence admissible in court. 2 or 2.5 on the scale hardware for Amazon Bee leggings. 2 millimeter. 2 millimeter. They didn't have any of the 300 bags of scale hardware, so I couldn't order any. If I'm going to order a 300 bag, I'm just going to order it directly from Injora in China. Because then you can get the black beadlock hardware. And from what I've found, that's the only way to get the black beadlock hardware. Is it a 42? Oh, 46. Yes, I want to say, if I remember correctly from my wife's cycling shoes, she's either a 37 or a 38. I think she's a 38 in European sizes.
13 is 46 and 14 is 47.
47. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. I think my Shimano cycling shoes are 47s.
It's pounds, right?
A 14 is a 48 and a half in Europe. I've actually found one pair of cycling shoes in my life that were too big. Shimano makes a pair of road shoes that are a UK or Euro size 50.
The only thing that's measured, so 4.75 tire, but then they go millimeters on width.
And don't forget 1.9 inch wheels, which are actually just 50 millimeter.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, it's like everything's millimeters, and this is like, okay, the
Oh,
tire is 4.75.
The gentleman over here is remarking that everything is metric, except we still measure tires in 465, 475, and it's true. 5 1/4, we still do. And if you want to see that played out in the greatest of colors, cycling stuff. Oh my God. half of the wheel sizes are imperial, half of the wheel sizes are metric. They'll have you can look up wheels that are metric across, but imperial this way, the cross section,
Right.
on the same wheel. They just use them interchangeably.
When you're testing tires, every time you put it in your thing and you say, okay, 50 millimeters, I'm like, okay, well, that's a tire. That's 50 millimeters on my phone.
15 EEE. All right. Michael Jacobs has definitely got bigger feet than I do.
That's a big human.
Clipless cycling shoes are the best. They make you walk like a duck. This is why, despite riding on the road about 90+% of the time, I always use mountain bike clipless shoes. They use a tiny little, called SPDs. They use a tiny little clip. Well, more specifically, I like the Look clipless pedals. I like those. I like those the best. They're available in giant clown sizes. You know what the hardest one is?
It's just 407 millimeters?
The hardest one is getting things like swim fins. Getting a Churchill that fits. It's not fair, man. Like, what do I get? What do I get for having feet so big that I can't like use them normal?
You get to know when it rains first.
In Canada, a river is 4 meters wide and 3 feet deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too late. It's too late for us. I could never do the double-sided. My wife rode the double-sided, the SPD mountain bike style, but with flat on one side. I could not do it. Every time I would go to take off from an intersection, I would go to clip in and I'd be on the wrong side. Every single time. Like the clip would always rotate to the bottom. I like the looks because they have a much more open cage, and without even thinking, you can clip in, and the amount of degree that you have to turn your foot to unclip. If you know what Crank Brothers egg beaters look like, they're a lot like egg beaters, but I tried the egg beaters, and those are definitely mountain bike things. They are way too loose. Your foot is just all over the place, which is weird because most mountain bike guys just run flats. They put on a set of 510s and they run flats. Thank you, SC Redneck. Thank you, Dustin Woodham.
Yeah,
Phoenix Portal RTR Falcon ordered. Oh,
And that's real time.
he bought a Falcon. Oh,
Why?
I guess I can walk on sand easier with built-in snowshoes. I mean, I guess. But I spend a lot of time. Oh yeah. I'm going to get to that one. I spend a lot of time barefoot because I don't like shoes. The shoes are just another way for the man to keep you down. So I try to be barefoot as often as possible. And there's that little bit, like you can't really exhibit it with a hand because this part doesn't exist on a hand. But okay, these are toes. And then we ignore all these joints and this is foot. So this is that spot that's not toe and it's not foot. It's the joint. It's the part you can bend, right? That part never touches the ground. So when you walk on hot sand, the hot sand goes up and it gets that virginal toe bend joint and just burns the hell out of you. And you're like, oh, I did not see that coming. Because I can walk on a hot driveway in the summer here and be fine. The surface temperature will be 140 degrees. And as long as I keep moving, I'm good. If you stop, you kind of feel your feet sizzling to the ground. But hot sand, man. Go down to Huntington Beach, Surf City, USA, and let that sand just murder your feet. The sand is hotter than the surface of the sun. Yeah, I know. Going to the bike shop for all those years, there were a lot of guys like professional downhillers that it's flats and 510s. And a bunch of cracked helmets. I love listening to the mountain bike guys recount their latest concussion. Because I guess if you're downhill racing and you're not risking a concussion, just watch like Red Bull Rampage. I guess you're not going fast enough. Talking about pedals, a bear trap pedal hit my shins every other day while riding my BMX mongoose. Yeah, if you didn't take a bear trap pedal off the shin, like what were you doing? What are you doing? You go to step the toe and it rolls and it flies around. Just metal right into the shin. Arguably, okay, you had bear traps, and then speaking of mongoose, Shimano did some real recently. Saints were like this. They made a pedal that was really flat and kind of square, and it just had set screws, like 4mm set screws coming out of it. Like a bunch of them, like little pins. And when one of those would come around, it would just stab a hole in your shin. So, yeah, clip pedals. I can barely ride a bike without clips on it now. Kind of surprised you have a Scion where people built for trucks. I've never owned a truck. Now, I did bring a 50-gallon hot water heater home in the back of that Scion. Don't, never discount a hatchback.
Bring home lumber too.
Oh, yeah. I have, of course, because of, the cycling addiction, I have a rack. I have a double Yakima? I've got a double Yakima rack on the roof of my Scion, and we would strap 12-foot long 4x4s onto the roof rack and drive home with two of them. Brought home PVC pipe, 10-foot PVCs on the roof of the Scion TC.
8-footers go in the car.
Yeah, 8-footers will fit in the car. The Scion TC was my truck. Yeah. JC has pointed out if you got big feet, you get big hands. I wonder if there's a dude out there that has like a size 14 foot and wears like medium gloves. There has to be some poor guy. Or the opposite. Some dude's just got big gorilla mitts but wears like size 9. That'd be amazing.
It's hard to balance.
I'm 40 and have permanent bear claw indentations on both shins. Yeah, my shins are not pretty. I cannot be a shin model. That's a thing, right? Shin models? There's a model for every body part. Are you dropping frames? Oh, I don't know. Let me where's my dock? Stats. You know what? Today I am dropping frames. I have dropped 188. Not a lot. It looks like rendering lag. So we're broadcasting at 30 frames per second, which is why I can go like this, and my hands go blurry. I could go up to 60 frames per second, but as one would expect, at 60 frames per second, it's double the data required. So we're super stable here at 30 frame, and as long as I don't go too fast, the focus looks good. But if I go, I'm just blurry. 30 frames per second.
You just drop one frame?
Yeah.
Would you even notice?
No. Like right now, we're at 338. Wait, no, I missed a 0. Yeah, 339,000 frames. 30 frames per second for like 3 hours.
But do you notice if you drop?
Sometimes on their end, it will like stutter. When we were not on the good internet, we dropped a lot of frames. A lot. We would drop like 4% of the frames. We've had days here. It depends because my wife works from home on Fridays. So if she's in a meeting where she's also on camera doing video, we're competing. And she's much closer to the main internet than I am. So we're battling it out for internet. Hey, Shaker MT has appeared. My shins are like wooden rulers. They splinter easily.
What are you doing? I'm building my shop in between your desk and the internet. I want to be first.
What did I miss? I'm the opposite. Size 14 ring finger, but size 10 shoes. There you go. Oh, hey, I'm that guy. 14 shoe, medium, large gloves. We don't even have to look that far. I'm envious on the one hand because I can't buy gloves. I can't. I have to buy the gloves that fit, and they will all either be, it's this thing. It's this stupid thing. This web right here will make either the thumb blow out of the tip of the glove or this will just start tearing out of the glove. Which is why cycling was so nice, because fingerless gloves, problem solved. Doesn't matter how long your fingers are. Doesn't matter how long your freaky thumbs are. Woo! It wasn't a problem. But when I'm working out here or lifting concrete, I used to be able to get those cheap, they're like cowhide gray gloves with the stripes on the cuff. They last about a day, but they're big. I can put a pair of gloves on and then put those over the other gloves and lift concrete until the gloves are just shredded. And Lowe's used to have them for $1.99 a pair. So I'd spend $1.99 a day. Now they're $5 a pair. Long fingers and short thumbs. Oh, you want to talk about long fingers and short thumbs? So my hand is fairly proportional. Like the length of the fingers are pretty proportional to the palm, not counting this weird thing, right? My father-in-law has the same palm size that I do, but if we hold our hands up together, his fingers are here. His fingers are like over an inch shorter than mine. So he says, yeah, I tell him he has bear paws, because they do. They look like bear paws. Oh, the chat's moving fast. It's not moving Emily Hopkins fast, but it's moving pretty fast. I'm already gonna have to. Yeah, there's so many spacers.
Yeah,
and
what's your view count today?
448. Concurrent is 94 right now. Oh no. Yeah, see, these are the things that we get to. That link is 18 millimeters too short. So we're going to go into the magical bin. And we're going to get links out of that bin that are the correct length. And I don't care who's salty about it. Actually, we're going to go into bin 3 together.
You're fine. This is a ground-up custom build.
We're going to go into bin 3 for these.
Buy a kit or some that's what you have to do. You're fine on this one.
I think that's them right there. Yeah, I was just absent-mindedly fiddling, and I was like, we'll get one. We'll get one of these started. Oh man, that might be the comment of the day. That I don't know if it's of the caliber of I can break a window with my gonk is the line I use to pick up chicks at the bar. I don't know if it's of that caliber, but I am pretty happy about RC families. If I ever get asked for a willy pick, I have to make sure my hands are not in the shot. That's fantastic. Use forced perspective. Hold your hands way in the background. Thing's enormous. It's inhuman how big that is.
A gonk with an opposable thumb would sell.
That was a great one because I got a gonk out of it. He's right there. he is gonna go in a vehicle at some point. We'll figure out. We're gonna figure out how to do that. I also desperately want to figure out. Has anyone seen the? There's a YouTube. Did I talk about this before? My brain is looking like this. A guy has one of the Jeeps, and he's writing down about forced perspective. The guy has one of the Jeeps, like one of the Willys, and it's got Javier Bardem in it, driving it. But here's my guess. I think he's replaced the servo under the steering wheel with a winch servo or turned that steering servo into a winch servo, because when it steers, the driver's arm does this maneuver where it just keeps turning the wheel and then it stops and it goes back the other way. This is cool, but this is really cool. And I want to figure out how that guy did that. Trying to watch, but boat internet's like, boat internet? It's not a thing. The internet only exists on land. Everybody knows that. Does anybody remember the old Schwinn pedals that were made from like rubber tire tread that was layered like plywood? Yeah. There were like two little rubber bars and it had two little chrome, like little cleats at either end, and it had an axle down the middle and it would spin. And if they had any moisture on them at all, they provided no grip whatsoever. With the little yellow reflectors on either end. Yeah. Pedals, that's another one. Pedals have definitely gotten better since the times of yore. When I try to think back of what did I have on bikes when I was like a kid? I don't know. Whatever was on the bike. That was probably good enough. There was always some damn rich kid. There was always some kid that had parents in the neighborhood, and he'd always come back with some sweet Blue Max or something. You were like, what's this guy think he is? I'm over here on a Murray, right, and my buddy's got a Huffy, and this guy shows up on something fancy.
With shocks on the front.
Oh, and the first kid that shows up in your neighborhood with a number plate? Oh, no. That kid's legit. What about Red Wing shoes? I think my big boots are Chippewas. Yeah, it's the same thing.
But they fit you.
Yeah. The best boot is the boot that fits.
Yeah.
And oh my God.
Well, he put me in a thing. He gave me all the little inserts that go on too.
When I see what people who actually do for, like, actually work for a living, do to boots, the soles worn slick in 9 months. So I understand those dudes that are buying, like, what are they, like Rose Anvil, handmade, $600 a pair of boots that they'll just resole, you know. But I'm like, I wear Jim Greens, which are the South African, the boots that the anti-poachers wear. They're basically what they call barefoot boots. They have a really big toe box, and the sole is really flat, like no raise to it at all. And they're really comfortable for me because I'm a barefoot person. But my God, the break-in time. It had to be 2 months before they felt okay. The rich kid with the green machine, when all we had was a faded out big wheel with holes in the tires and gravel rolling around inside. Man,
we're out there with a hacksaw cutting up.
That's my childhood right there.
Cutting up our sissy bar or our banana seed.
There was a kid. Okay, my house, the house across the street. This is the guy that had the mongoose. This guy over here had the green machine, and he would do the and
with the 5-speed.
Man, we had it pretty good.
It was amazing.
The best thing we had, though, you know what the best thing we all had as kids? No internet. I'll ride on one of my Stingrays now and again, and the banana seats are a rolling wedgie. Yeah. The things that we could withstand
Schoolyard justice
as youths is amazing.
Schoolyard justice policed ourselves.
Yeah.
Put you right in the second word.
I'm not going to find two links of the same length, are I? I found these two, and I wonder if I just go to a shorter link at one end, if we can stub that down. Let's just try that. I'm just absent-minded at this point. When I was 5, I popped a wheelie and snapped the handlebars off of my 16-inch tire mongoose. That's living. You know what? These kids today, they don't know. Don't make me get the rod end bin out. Because I'll do it.
I'm not afraid.
If you had a Brooks saddle, it definitely broke you in. People would say, oh, it just has a break-in period. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. A Brooks saddle is like sitting on an anvil made out of leather, and eventually it just pummels your undercarriage into submission, at which point you're like, you know what? This is pretty comfy. And that's because the area in between the heathers and the nethers is now shaped like a leather anvil. And I went Cele Anatomica, those sling leather saddles with the cutout in the middle. Now those are stupid comfortable. But I mean almost as expensive as Brooks saddles, which are criminally expensive.
Very difficult.
It is. It is. And spending a lot of time at the bike shop, I don't know, I can't tell you how many guys would show up at the bike shop and they ride their whatever old steel frame with a Brooks on it, and they're just wearing jean shorts. No pad, no nothing. And I'm like, oh my God, you could full on steel toe kick that guy in the taint and he wouldn't even feel it. He would not even feel it. That dude is armor. No Brooks for me, thank you. I have 3 Brooks saddles, all over 40 years old, still not broken in. They ain't never gonna break in. They break you in. Brooks saddles are why I still have no ass at age 54. They're brutal, dude. Oh, here's the great one. So when I was putting on too many miles, for a span of about 2 years, I was doing I was averaging 200 miles a week. So on one bike, I have a Cele Anatomica, and then on another bike, I have this seat that they make for cyclocross. So it has a wide, really short nose on it, and it doesn't flare out a lot. So it's a really narrow triangle, but it's wide at the front, much wider than normal saddles. And then my other bike has those ridiculous looking, almost like a tri saddle, where it just has the 2 things at the front like that. So it doesn't engage your sit bones. You sit on your, the ischial tuberosities. So when you ride a bunch of miles on saddle 1, then the next day you ride the different bike and it sits on a different part of the undercarriage. And then on the next day you sit on the other saddle and it sits on a different. So you're giving your underbits time to recover. And you would think, one would think, that at some point I might think to myself, maybe too much, maybe too much. But no, it never really occurred to me. And honestly, after riding the amount of miles that I did and putting the hours that I did into a bike, I came to it goes very much hand in hand with my theories about kits versus RTRs, and that I undoubtedly push kits too hard, but that's okay because kits are all gone now, so I can push kits as hard as I want. But I will tell a person, if you have no experience cycling, if you've never ridden a bicycle, you could ride 100 miles in a day. Now, I'm not saying you don't know how to ride a bicycle. I mean, you haven't ridden one other than like around the block. You could ride 100 miles in a day, and it would all come down to mental. It would come down to, at a point, your brain is going to tell your body that it's time to quit. And if you keep going, you'll make it. It's going to be uncomfortable, and there are parts of it that you're going to hate it, but you could do it with no training. The difference is, if you want to do it fast, it gets very hard. It gets very, very difficult. Because then it's not just mental. First it's mental, then it's physical, and then it comes back around and it's mental again. But if you just tool around on a bike and you ride it around the neighborhood and you want to hang out with your friends or your kids or whatever, anybody can ride for 20 miles in the clothes they're wearing right now and be absolutely fine. Once you get up past about 90 minutes in the saddle, we all have preferences about things. I like one shovel over another because the handle feels better in my hands. I have one of those with a triangular handle. And if you swing a shovel all day, the shape of the handle of the shovel means something to you. If you dig a hole once in a month, you don't care. You just get a shovel. Get a shovel. And it's the same way with bikes. Once you're in the saddle for 90 minutes, 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours, 7 hours, suddenly you find out, you know what? I don't even like that kind of bar tape. I like this kind of bar tape. And I never noticed my bar tape at all until I was in the saddle for 6 hours or 7 hours or 8 hours. So it's all relative. Does RPM parts still have a lifetime warranty? That's an excellent question. My guess would be that lifetime warranty is now... I got it too tight. I got it so tight I can't turn it back under my own force. My guess is that lifetime warranty will come with some conditions applied. So it won't be some sort of unconditional lifetime warranty, because even Traxxas used to have a thing where if you stripped something out or you broke a part or you blew up a little servo or whatever, they would just send you another one. And now they will give you like a pro-rated discount on getting another one. Gel seat covers absolutely do not work. They're too soft. If my lamp stops. Gel seat covers are no. If anybody's ever ridden any amount of distance on a gel seat cover, they probably had a really bad time. You know what? That's actually pretty much about the right length. If I can find two 7mm spacers, good luck to us all. I might actually be able to get at least the front end swinging around town. I had no aspirations. That was the beauty of it. I just knew what I was going to do. That's why it said Linecutters in the title, because these guys are definitely jumping the line. Is there other stuff that I'm probably supposed to be working on? Yes. Nobody asked you. It's like sitting on a steak. Yeah, I never thought that I would be able to get used to padded shorts, bike shorts. And then you put in enough miles, and then it was bib shorts or nothing. I won't ride unless it's bibs. Because the comfort differential is inestimable. It's right under that hat. If you lift up that hat and that bag right here. This was my day-to-day right here. Cast Protone.
Oh, okay, it wasn't the...
No. Same thing they were in the tour. Okay. That's my fifth helmet. That one's cracked.
I meant the alien helmet.
Oh no. When you weigh 200. I almost gave out more estimates. People are going to figure out what I look like. When you weigh what I do, it doesn't matter how aerodynamic your helmet is. The greatest impediment to forward motion is the fact that you are giant. So, those of you, it appears that there are a fair number of people there in the chat who have ridden bicycles in the past. I'm the guy. I am him. That I'm out there riding down the river trail, and I look over my shoulder, and there are 2 or 3 people riding behind me, because they basically just pulled in behind a semi, and I'm just cutting the wind for them. And you know what? None of those little tiny micro humans ever volunteer to get out in front of me and break the air for me, jerk bags. They'll just sit back there and let me tow them along. Only applies to products they still make. So there's no... MIP doesn't make... Which hex driver? They still make hex drivers, don't they? What did MIP stop making while I wasn't looking? Oh, this thing is going to be Bender's coming back. This is going to be fun on a bun. Oh, well, speaking of draft and ditch, my go-to move, my favorite move, they slip in behind you. So Santa Ana River Trail, they slip in behind me, and they're letting me pull. They're letting me pull them. So I go, all right. You want me to pull you? That's fine. I will let you sit back there all day. But as we're going, every minute or two, I'm going to go about a mile an hour faster, and then a mile an hour faster, and then a mile an hour faster. Until eventually we're doing like 24, 25 miles an hour. And you know what? You know what the difference is between them little guys? RPM, not MIP. That's why I got confused. They can't do it. They can't hang. So they just start dropping off behind you. And then we get down to a park called Bonaminio Park, which is down at that middle end of it's kind of in the middle of the river trail, the middle of the top section. And I would get there 4 or 5 minutes before them. And then they would pull in, and most of the time they wouldn't even come and talk to me. They wouldn't even acknowledge that they got dusted. Does anyone know if Traxxas have all metal gears? Yes. There are no plastic gears in a TRX4 period. You got to get that specialized. It's like 22,000. You can turn the regulator off and it does 30 miles an hour. And they were testing. I watched them test it when Specialized unveiled that one. They were riding it in San Francisco, going up the hills at like 25 miles an hour. We went to a trip. We were in Mammoth, and I took my bikes, and I was still riding my alloy frame, my KHS CX100 cyclocross frame. I'm riding my cyclocross frame, and my wife was on a KHS road bike. She's got a 500, and we hear coming up behind us, and we're like, "Is it like a Jeep?" And we look, and it's a dude on an electric fat bike. And I'm like, oh, this guy. Recumbents of the ultimate cheater bike, provided you can launch without crashing. There's a dude that would come into the bike shop all the time, and he has some sort of disability, like in the chest or something. So he's on not the kind of recumbent that's up high, the kind of recumbent where you're all, what do they call them? Low racers or whatever. The kind where you can put your hand down and just put it on the ground and hold yourself up. That dude would smoke you because that dude has the aerodynamic cross section of a cucumber, and he would just, and you could always see him coming and going because he had like a 12-foot long fiberglass whip with an orange flag on the end, so he didn't get run over. But man, was he fast. So fast. And we watched the hand cycle guys. I rode with the para guys a couple times, the hand cycle guys. Holy crap. Those dudes are arms are as strong as your legs. They're just boom, 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 boom.
That's determination.
And they'd get to a hill, and you're like, they're going to slow down, right? Dude, upper body is so overdeveloped, and then the paralysis has turned their lower leg. They look like cartoons. They don't even look real.
It's like a framer.
But those dudes will just go. They will go. I watch Harley Designs taking his TR and has 2 nylon gears, but mine has metal gears. Yeah, I don't know where there would be nylon gears in a TRX4 gearbox. Recumbents, man. Recumbents are cheating. They're not as cheating as those, what are they, the full faired, those aero cycles that have the full fairing on it, so they look like a sardine. And those guys are getting pulled over for speeding because they're doing like 50 miles an hour in 25 zones. And the cops are like, you know that's a vehicle. Like, you can hit somebody with it. It's a vehicle. They're like, but officer, it's a bicycle. Yeah, that you were doing 50 in. My grandfather got pulled over for speeding on a bicycle because he was riding his bicycle on the shoulder of the 15 freeway. at the speed of traffic. And they were like, you can't do that. He was like, it's a free country, isn't it?
I just did.
I'm doing the speed limit.
I'm doing the speed limit. They're like, yeah. We're going to let you go with a something. He also got pulled over in South Dakota by a lady motorcycle cop. I remember that one fondly. She was like, just try to slow it down. He was doing like 95 in an AMC wagon.
65, I thought that was an average.
That's the suggested speed.
Yeah. That was an average, because most times doing 20.
Oh man, crossed it. That's how we that is a quick and this is a quick and quiet end to that lock nut. If you use your power driver and you cross thread it on, right into the trash with that one. Because it's never going to be the same again. Yeah, we got to enough. It's fun. It's fun the way that the stat screen estimates statistics. We're still at 188 drop frames. But we were at 0.1%, and now we're at 0.0. Because 188 is a small enough number that they can't round it up to 0.1%. Last week, we dropped 7 frames total. 7 out of like 400 and some thousand. Oh, which means that's what I usually try to look at, is the frames. And when we start getting up above 400,000, I know that I've been rambling long enough. I feel like today... And you can correct me on this, but I don't think I'm wrong. I feel like today had even more rambling than usual. I don't know if we, I don't think we even, like people asked a couple questions, but I feel like this was just me ambling and shambling. And those,
Here they go. Oh, you want more questions?
those rod ends that, yeah. I think if I go to one step shorter at the front, we can get that angle right. Because yeah, that's not right. That's not right at all. Or follow me. We have a drill. I can just drill. I can just put the links together and just drill holes in the chassis. It doesn't matter. Oh, and then I got to try to replicate that twice on the other guy. Oh, this is, you know what this is turning into? Nature's Loctite is cross-threading. This is definitely turning into a thing. They come in all black too, the axles, but they're always out of stock, and they are such a clone of Vanquish that the Vanquish knuckle boxes and covers are all exactly the same. You can put all the Vanquish parts on them.
Can you put Mias on Vanquish? They don't come with the good weights though, do they? They will. Give them time.
These you can get. What he has them. He has the Mias weights. Okay. And I succeeded in getting a set of Mias weights onto a Vanquish axle. It's not worth it. It's really
that.
It's really difficult to do. So are we gonna finish this build? Oh, when people ask about Proline and Red Cat, you're gonna ramble. Yeah, I feel like we asked all the RC questions in previous streams.
They do it a lot.
Yeah, I feel like I am gonna ramble when those are brought to my attention. Here's the thing about this gentleman right here. Inadequate pre-prep for sure. What I woulda, shoulda, coulda, but didn't was I should have built the other one. Like if this is Zaymot, I should have built Tomax to begin with, and then I would have known what I needed to do. But that's not how we go around here. Finger guns. We dive in headlong, and sadly, or unsadly, I've managed. Dave Wilson says he got the all black ones, but they were 3 weeks from China. I have managed to find the all black ones on Amazon once, just one time. The red ones come in stock all the time. Ooh, a Red Cat Fusion with a Proline body. But it has to be a Proline Power Wagon. It has to be the $62 Proline Power Wagon with with decked out. It's got to be a $125 built Proline body and then some spec RC wheels on it, and then you're set. You've got an $1,100 Red Cat Fusion, and it'll still handle like the world famous Pupu Kaka. So whether it is for better or for worse, I'll already tell you what next week is going to be, and it's not going to be this. It's going to be. No, I can't do it. It's way over on the other side of the building. I have to walk over there and get it, and then I'll be back. Have you heard there's an effort to update the TRX 4 platform, and they're just going to keep changing bodies? They have not updated the TRX 4 at all. They changed it to they put like clipless body mounts on, but the thing is exactly the same. RC family, I made an order from Mias for the stuff that went to Irwin. Most of the stuff that went to Irwin, I forgot to send some of the stuff to Irwin. Most of the stuff that went to Irwin, I made an order for him from Mias. It got here in 4 days. I don't know if they used a special airplane or they flew it with a guy in an air. I don't know what they did, but 4 days from China is unreal because I ordered from A-Main on Monday, and I will receive my A-Main order on Monday. So it will be 8 days from North Carolina.
No, the SCX6 they're putting it on sale on clearance. I think there's new 6 coming out.
So, someone asked a leaf spring question about, are we going to get any more leaf springs? Yes. So we have another line cutter, but we're going to allow line cutters in the live stream because we will count the live streams as not being canon. Also, for those of you who remain, there's only a select few of you. Props to the select few of you. Justin Timberlake was right. It is going to be May, and it is May now. At some point in May, we give away the FCX10. Don't know how. Haven't decided. I have an idea. I don't know if I want to do it that way. We're not going to do hiding numbers. We only do things once. We're going to figure something out. We're going to get rid of the FCX10 because basically we need holders for it. That means that probably in June we're going to do the Spider because the G-Made Spider is also on the giveaway list. So May FCX10 Blazer, June Spider. And as these installments are not canon to the rest of the, I mean, they are, but they're not. Like we break up the clear progression of It Came From the Workbench series by what we do in here. So this just came in. This is a build for a channel member. And speaking of leaf springs, this is what we're going to do. This is what we'll do next week. This is a G-Made sawback, and this is the all leafs version. And I hope that the pictures are to be believed because the chassis rails look like they're chrome. And it is a 1/10 scale, but like Willie's style, so it's like it has like an 11-inch wheelbase.
That's cool looking.
It's a little baby boy. So for those of you who know the see. It better have chrome bumpers and a chrome chassis.
Cool.
Otherwise, I'm going to be mad. Leaf springs. I think this is something that we can do. I think we can do this. Can Mr. Adrianson participate? Absolutely, you can participate. Yeah, everyone is welcome. Like I say, I haven't gotten the mechanism of how it's going to go for the giveaway. We'll figure it out. So, Mr. C, what's a really good seat? They're called saddles. No, I'm not that guy. It's a seat. It's a bike seat. It's on a seat post. You can call it a seat. You can call it a saddle. It's interchangeable. I liked Selle Anatomica. I liked, what is the other Selle? It also starts with Selle. That was the one that I was using, the cyclocross saddles. And ISM is the one that I was using that are basically like triathlon saddles. It depends on how long you're going to ride. If you don't have a really bent over riding position and you sit a little bit more upright, I don't think you can beat Selle Anatomica. They are fantastic. And they're not that expensive. They're like $100. Look, it holds your ass 5 hours a day. $100 is not that expensive. Especially when you go and look up how much the top of the line bibs from Pearl Izumi or Shimano cost. And you're buying a $275 pair of pants. Suddenly a $100 saddle is not too bad. You can also buy $700 cycling shoes. Selle Italia. That's the other one. Shaker MT, it is mandatory that he participates in the giveaways. The sawback is ancient. Have G-Made updated it at all? Probably not. It seems unlikely. I feel like this box looks slightly different from like all of the promo material I had ever seen about the leafed sawback. It was red, and now it's blue. And it does say Sawback Sports, but I had the Sawback in my alert me when it's in stock category on A-Main for well over a year, and then ended up with a Marlin. So I just didn't see the need to get one. We'll be getting something similar for the to stay and live in the canyon. This one will be fun because it's super simple. It's basically a 3-gear gearbox. There are no gadgets, gizmos, or gubbins in that thing. It's super simple. What is it, like 11? Is it 11.4? I know it's a short little fella. 287 wheelbase. I had to go metric again. 10 inches is 250. Yeah, it's 11.4. 11 and a half. Yeah, it's a little simple thing. So we're actually going to get that thing, like, we'll build it. It'll be able to roll back and forth. I don't have any electronics or anything for it, but that's still a week away. We can fill it with Reedy Crawler. That's the new condition. If you send something in to get it built, we're going to fill it with Reedy Crawler. Reedy Crawler everywhere. You didn't even realize what you were doing when you sent me all that stuff, and I'm going to Reedy Crawler everything up. We will figure that out as we go. There's still plenty of time betwixt now and then. And I have... One could say, do you have your work cut out for you for the next couple days? Oh, yeah. I have to get all of this figured, and I have to figure out where the links are going to go and what link lengths I'm going to use for the uppers and where I'm going to drill the holes. The rear upper links look like they are absolutely dead centered right between the 2 rows of holes. So yeah, I'm just thinking about hitting it with the auto punch and just drilling a second set of holes in there and then not worrying about it. And in the front, I'm going to reassemble the link that I took off, and I'm going to mark the spot, and I'm going to drill a hole. Why not? And then we'll do it again on underneath the bench is all of the stuff that's here a second time. Because, we got to do it twice. Overdrive, I got the Velociraptor tires last Thursday. I'm going to put them on my Gatekeeper with Capra axles. What do you recommend for tire inserts? I would say, I don't know if you have easy access to it. Depends on what you want to spend. I mean, I assume on a free tire, you want to get something fairly inexpensive. The dual stage that comes stock in a 2.2 Canyon Trail should probably actually fit pretty well. Or any foam that's about this size. Any foam of about 120-ish outside diameter. Trade my Reedy stuff for some tire foams. Tire foams. Did you dare to say tire foams here? I got a secondhand set of GTS shocks that leaked out all 4 shocks in less than a week. Yeah, it's that secondhand. You have no idea what they did and didn't do, or did too much. What kind of tire foams do you want? I can't close the bag anymore. The bag is too full of foams. You know what I'm going to try? Somebody said, what if you mix up just straight Portland? Don't mix it with anything. And then soak these like sponges. Can we make concrete donuts? And then build an obstacle out of concrete donuts? Good. We might make some concrete donuts.
It'll just conform to whatever that's going to give away, but the concrete will stay around it.
Weird porous concrete.
I think you'd have to get something on the inside of it too, so it doesn't leak out.
Once the concrete hardens, it's not going to matter what that does.
Yeah.
It's
So, oh my. Yeah, we went over. We went over a hair. Just a hair. I usually shoot for about 330. It's a 347.
It flew by today. It flew by today.
All you got to do. Oh, foams for shims. Dude, just send me your address and I'll just send you some. Email me your address and I'll just send you some foams. I think you should make a foam pit for Mavericks. Oh, okay, this is interesting.
Oh.
Like just a cliff and you just fall off and it's just full of foams and then you got to get out of it.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
And then as the sun dissolves them and they disintegrate, I won't care.
Get rid of that ramp.
Where do you get that fridge foam from? Amazon. The one on Amazon now is called called Dualplex, and you just want to make sure that in the image it looks like when they're showing it looks like it's about this thick, that about 8 millimeters thick. It'll come in sheets that are like 12 by 16, because apparently sometimes they'll try to send you the thin stuff. That bag is huge, like really big. And remember, to those who have been here, right above my head, there's a giant sound deadener that's made out of like 250 tire foams. So I don't know what to do with it. I use them as packing material.
I got an idea.
And I haven't had any boxes that shipped out big enough to pack. Oh, let me tell you this. Whoever wins that FCX10, that thing's going to be absolutely wedged into a box with tire foams. You will be able to shake it and it will make no. I'm going to pack the inside of the body with tire foams. There's a lot of tire foams going in that box, because if I can get rid of any of them. But yeah, the guy who wants some for shims, yeah, tire foam mattress. Get an old beanbag shell and just pack it full of tire foams. It's kind of lumpy, but yeah, I will definitely send you that guy foams. And I will see. So this weekend, here's the plan. I would like to do Wheelin' Wednesday next week. I would like to have another installment. 71 will be another installment on the obstacle with the tunnel, the annex to Drybone Valley. Or if we give it a new name, we'll give it a name. We'll find out what we're going to name it. I want to get at least started on the mortar stuff, starting to get it set in. So I'll give myself a couple days for that. Over the weekend, I will devote as much time as I am allowed by the family peoples to devote towards building the two of these. And we'll have another, there'll be, of course, some sort of it came from a workbench installment reflecting these, because they will both, we're gonna get a Canyon First twin Ghost Ride. We'll be getting a Ghost Ride of two identical things, and I can all but guarantee that for some reason they're going to handle differently, and I will be incapable of explaining why. Because I've got to build, I have to pull all the seals out and build 2 sets of shocks. I have to get the other gearbox set up. I have to get the other ground down. I got to get the plastics cut out. It's a lot. I got to build a little, I'm going to bend some 16th inch aluminum and make a little reclined chair for these gents. And they're going to be sitting F1 style dead center in the middle of that cab. And it won't be hard to do, because, even with this thing spaced up and over, we're going to have so many problems, dude. We're probably going to have to make a plate that, like, this does not want to fit. It does not want to fit. That's why I am going to get this one, at least this one, set up with shocks on it and everything, so I can have it sit at right height with wheels on it before we even attempt to put that thing in. So that will be in the It Came From the Workbench installment. Update on your UTB 14 on the bugger. I mentioned in a comment, somebody asked about it this morning, and I said we had I said I'm just going to simply call it this, a Holmes problem. As if you'll recall, the ESC selected for that was the Crawlmaster V3, and let's say there was an issue. We'll see. We will see. They'll be identically built 2-stroke engines. One will be awesome, and the other one won't. Well, we're going to hope against that. We're going to hope that they're as close. We will do our due diligence and our very best to get the two of them to be as close to each other as possible. And I realize now, only now, after this many hours, do I realize what hath I wrought for myself, how much work is set out in this. Because, so nice, we're going to do it twice. It wouldn't be that bad if I was just building one. But any problems I encounter, hopefully this is driver's side, passenger side suspension. It takes you 2 hours to do the first side, and then you know what you messed up. So the other side of the car takes 15 minutes. So hopefully the second one of these will go a lot more smoothly than the first one. As this right here, you got to see there was no electricity and then there was no Kool-Aid, but it was an acid test. We found out that link don't work. We got to drill holes there. The VS410 chassis, and there's nothing against the VS410 chassis, but it is designed for this. It is not designed for that. So nothing about that wants to fit. Link lengths don't want to fit. Nothing wants to fit. But we got time. We got time. We will sort it out. So upcoming in the next week, all of the usual shenanigans. Hopefully a couple more tire test reduxes. I've got my checklist over here. I'm trying to get like 2 of those in a week. A wheelin' Wednesday. I will see you again on Friday. There's already an episode uploaded for Saturday. I've already forgotten what it is. Yeah, I have no recollection of what Saturday's episode is.
I think it's a tire test.
Is it? It's probably a tire test. And I filmed it a couple days ago because if the canyon is going to have visitors, I get filming all out of the way in one day, and it all just blurs together. It all just blurs together. This is what happens when you self-impose a bunch of stuff on yourself. You got to upload every day, you lazy bastard. So I get out there and I film, and then I come in here and I wrench, and then I film and then I wrench, and then I fall asleep in my chair like an old man. And I wake up with a really stiff neck, and it's still stiff from when I fell asleep in my chair yesterday. Awesome. So I will take this opportunity to not clean my workbench, but instead thank you all so very much for watching and all of the usual things. I will see you in the upcoming week. I'm always there on Instagram. If you message me on Instagram, shoot me an email if you have a question or a comment or a concern. Put a comment on a video. I read all the comments. I hope to see all of you or more next Friday and all the days in between. Thanks so much for joining us here. Did we almost make 4 hours? 3 hours and 57 minutes. I feel like standing here for just like 2.5 minutes while this thing goes, just so we can hit 4 hours. But it would feel fake. It would feel fake. So I'll see you all in the next one, everybody. Thanks all the guys who became members, who gave away memberships, who gave money to a stranger on the internet, and and allow me to fulfill my wife's threat, which was, if you're going to keep doing this, it needs to pay for itself. And that was the words, but I don't even think I captured the frighteningness of the tone. So thank you all for being enablers. That's how the vehicle is filled with, the building is filled with crawlers. The Midwest Goodbye is deep into its 3rd minute. We're at 3:58:23. I can't BS for another minute and a half, so I'm going to bid you all adieu. Thanks, everybody. We will see you next time.